shoot you a. There we go.
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing, brother?
Not bad, not bad. How you feeling?
Dude, I'm feeling great. It's been a crazy week. So, how's your week going?
Same. Like I'm doing a lot right now. So yeah, making final preparations to leave New York. So see what happens.
Yeah, where are you going? What are your plans?
Florida.
Oh, nice. I'm thinking about doing the same thing myself. I just finalized my resignation from the government today, and I'm looking at
nice.
Florida. I was looking at Jacksonville, Orlando, and I have some friends in Jupiter, so I'm looking at all options right now.
Okay, cool.
Hello, everybody. One second. We're gonna. Usually, I play music, but I guess my guy's not here to run some audio, so we're just gonna let people file in and have a conversation.
All good, brother. All good. I'm here.
How often do you jump into spaces? Because I don't see you in spaces very often, but I love the content you put out when you're talking about Jasmine Crockett. Like, we need more voices like yours, man. It's
my good friend Boquisha, yeah.
Dude, she's got me blocked. I don't know how you managed it, but I guess it's easier for her to block a smaller account than it is like you. So
no, she's got me blocked as well. She blocked me a while ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to respond on her official account. Although I have a source, a very credible source, and from what I've been told, she knows I call her Boquisha, and it pisses her off.
Oh, dude, she 100%. Like, and one of the things that I'm surprised you haven't hit her with has been her code switching. From when she first got into office to playing the ghetto hood rat nonsense that she's doing now.
Oh, I spoke about that today. I did a tweet today. Do we still call it tweets, or is it like some sort of whatever? I did a tweet today, and I said she reminds me of Lincoln Osiris from Tropic Thunder.
Yes, never go full retard.
Yeah, that's what she sounds like. Yeah,
dude. You know what's sad?
Some greens.
You know what's sad about her situation, and we're gonna get into this, but the thing that frustrates me is that when she first came into office out of Missouri, like she came out, sounding smart, sophisticated, intelligent, and then all of a sudden she jumped into the identity politics game, and now she's, for lack of better words, she's Boquisha. She's just a generic ghetto hood rat politician all of a sudden, and she's destroyed her own credibility, because I actually liked a lot of the things that she was saying when she was first wanted to run for office, and then she played the Democrat game, and this is the version of her that we have now. Adam, you gonna pop up?
This is the Democrat playbook. They're not going to run someone. They're not going to put someone up who speaks intelligently. They're going to put up Jasmine Boquisha Crockett, who she basically sounds like Shanae from Martin. She's doing a real bad cosplay of that. She's got the untamed wig on her head. She's got the eyelashes. When she's sitting in Congress, she's talking all crazy, with no decorum, no, she's cursing up there. I mean, listen, do I curse? Oh, I curse like a sailor, but if I'm sitting in Congress, I'm addressing someone and it's a business atmosphere, I'm not going to. This is what she's doing, and to the Democrats, this is a real life sister girl. She's representing the black vote. So I mean, it's this is what they do. Michelle Obama right now is cursing because she didn't do it first.
You know what? One of the things that I've been talking about quite consistently over the last couple of months has been the idea of the affluent black Democrat, where obviously we know that affluent means that they were born into privilege. Some of them extremely wealthy, or they had a lot of opportunities thrown at them. And as a result, they have to play this game where they have to, play the oppression Olympics. Like, oh, I have to act this part now so I can get people to notice me. And it's kind of disgusting, and it's unfortunate that we're sitting here watching this play out, because it's like there's so many people on the opposite side of the aisle that we don't play this oppression game. We don't play this identity politics game. We talk about real issues. And for some reason, we're the ones that get silenced. And it's very frustrating. So
no, I mean, listen, it's their, like I said, it's their playbook. You know, why do you think Michelle Obama? She'll tell anyone who will listen to her about how oppressed she is and how hard her life is because she's a black woman. Meanwhile, she's richer than any 5 white people I know. You know, Oprah, who's a billionaire. I did a podcast this morning, and I said, you know, Oprah, who's a billionaire a couple times over. You know, there's a white woman in Alabama right now who's like, I would trade places with you in a second. You know, so you know, Oprah, you know, they all do it. You know, all of them. You can go down the line. You know, Sunny Hostin, who I think is black or is black or something's going on with her. She dark skin Puerto Rican. Listen, she's tan. Yeah. She's a deep dark tan. I'll take it. But why do you think she gets on TV and talks about how rough her life is and how oppressed she is? I mean, she's a multimillionaire. So that's all they have. It's from the typical Marxist playbook. You're either the oppressor or you're the oppressed. And, you know, God forbid you're the oppressor. God forbid you say, you know what, my life is pretty good. I live in a $5 million mansion. I worked hard to get where I am. I can enjoy some of the finer things in life. And this is who I am. God forbid you sit there and say that. You can't say that. You have to be part of the struggle somehow. And this is what they all do, whether it's Michelle Obama, Oprah, Sunny Hostin. Look at Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is she's partying out in the Hamptons with her bestie Joy Behar. And this is what she does. Oh, I'm oppressed because of Trump. You know, I'm oppressed. This is who I am. I'm a black woman. So, I mean, it's all they've got. And this is why they run in circles. And now this is why they almost have like a contest to see who's more oppressed between all of them. You know, AOC's got to be more oppressed than Jasmine Crockett. And Jasmine Crockett's got to be more oppressed than Rashida Tlaib. And Rashida, you know, they all play this little game with each other. And it's going to end up. That's what's going to end up sinking all of them. Now they're on the illegals. You know, they have to, you know, put it out there. You know, oh no, we're for the illegals. We're all for the people who you sent back to El Salvador. You know, we have to go over there and we have to rescue them. We have to fight for the illegals. Meanwhile, the American people voted overwhelmingly to say, no, we don't want this. You know, we don't want these people coming across our border illegally. We don't want them coming in and you give them free cell phones and plane rides everywhere. You know, we don't want this, but this is what the Democrats are doing. They are convinced that this is their path to retaking the Oval Office and retaking Congress and retaking the Senate. They're convinced, and you know what? Let them keep doing it. And the American people will respond in 2022 and again, in 2026 and again in 2028.
That's 100% correct. For the audience, welcome everybody. My name is Mr. 30 Below. This is AM BlackOps. Quick update, disclaimer: this entire podcast started as a result of there's not enough minority voices talking about the political tension going on in society right now, or that we don't get enough opportunity to actually talk about it openly on a forum. This is a complete free speech space. So if you have something that you want to say, feel free to raise your hand. I'll pull you up. I have some guys in the audience. I'm trying to get them up here right now. I don't limit anybody's ability to speak. So as long as you don't antagonize or attack somebody personally, you are free to have an open mic as long as you want. Just don't interrupt the speaker. Don't interrupt the guest. We're going to have an interesting conversation. So I look forward to having this time with you guys.
I'll just say this: if you come at me, you come at me at your own risk.
Oh, so, yeah.
and I just want to send a quick shout out to a couple people. Travis Willis, I see you out there. Defund, I see you out there. Neurodivergent, who's become one of my favorite people, I see you out there. So thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for showing up. If you guys want to come up on the stage, feel free. Chris, Adam, you both have your opportunity to come up. Adam, I sent you the co-host as usual. Adam Karabachi is my weekly co-host. We have some inside jokes around here. It's mostly a minority panel. So we have myself, which is the mixed race guy. Adam is our resident Muslim. Chris is our Catholic, and then we have a Jew that comes up. So if you hear some things that might be offended, just remember that you're offended on their behalf. We're all friends and we get along. So don't be offended on other people's behalf. Take it in stride. We have open conversations. We've put a lot of time into these relationships and friendships. So we're not going to say anything to attack. Don't you thumbs down me, okay, sir? Get up here and co-host. But yeah, so I started this weekly space about a year and a half ago when I first started noticing you talking about Jasmine Crockett and a lot of the issues that we're facing. I noticed that there's not a lot of conservative spaces giving minorities the opportunity to speak from our experience, right? And it seems like on the conservative side, there's this clout chasing meta that has begun to form itself, where the only people that get an opportunity to speak are the people that you can farm for more followers. And I never wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the guy that had the honest conversations that allowed people to come up and vent their frustrations. And I knew that nobody was going to ever give me a mic, right? So the only opportunity there would be to start my own space. So I've been doing this pretty consistently for the last year and a half. And somehow along the line, people who like what I have to say, they listen to me. So you're my first actual guest on this space. So I'm very, very grateful because
I'm your first. Oh, listen, I'm honored. I'll be gentle.
For the most part, we just have open discussions. We have open conversations about a lot of the issues. It started as how they're using pop culture music, and they're using culture to shift the Overton window, and they're doing it through the guise of Black oppression, minority oppression, and I needed a voice, an opportunity to vent my frustrations. My mom's Native Indian, my dad's Black and Hispanic, so I've experienced it all. I grew up in a trailer park in the middle of Oklahoma. I literally grew up, in the dredges, and I went into the military at 16 years old, and my entire life has been on an upward trajectory since, and I've never played the oppression Olympics, but we don't have enough people giving people like myself or smaller accounts a platform to speak about their experience. So that's what AM BlackOps is all about. AM, it stands for American Mission. It's not anything maritime related. It's the organization that I'm part of. We run a website where we get people connected with people within other states and politicians to get their voice out and be heard. And we have policy spaces. We go over civic stuff like that. It's really cool opportunity, but we needed an opportunity to vent our frustrations and allow people to speak their truth. So, like I said, if you want to come up and talk, if you want to talk to Zeek, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a request, and I'll accept it. And I'm really honored to have you here. You've been an incredible follow for me for the last 6 months. I just really love that you've been able to break that window for people like myself, because it's inspiring for me. So thank you.
No problem. The honor is mine. I don't do a whole lot of spaces. Usually, I get invited to these, and I come. I say a couple things, but I'm in the middle of playing some Ghost Recon, so I figured, I can chew and walk down the street at the same time. So I'll play some Ghost Recon, and I'll do this space at the same time. It's all good. It's all good.
You doing one of the newer one, Wildlands, or which one?
Yeah, no, I'm doing Breakpoint. We got a whole party going on here, so my mic is actually muted in the game right now. And I'm talking here because I usually just do this anyway. There's a bunch of us. We go to somebody's house and we'll play. But I'm just kind of doing it at home, and we'll talk trash to each other. Like Travis over here, I've talked trash to him a bunch of times. So I'll just continue that.
So I have accepted the space request if you guys want to come up. Okay, I see Pam Pigs has come up. So I'm not sure, X spaces, they like to glitch out and not accept invites. So yeah, like it's just, for me, it's been really frustrating. And I've noticed a significant shift, like in the discussion online, and even I've noticed it with your account over the last month and a half, maybe 2 months, that because you're honest, right? You seem to be shadow banned, or your reach is seeming to be limited by the platform, and it's really frustrating because for some reason this ghetto hood rat come out in these spaces or on X and spew all these lies, and she reaches millions of people, but it's the people like yourself that are attacking her with facts and truth that are not being able to that are having the most issue trying to reach people. And what has that been like for you over the last month? Because I've noticed it as you attack her more and more. Something's going on in the background, which is limiting your reach more and more.
I'm not gonna lie, man. It's like even now I'm sitting here and I'm wondering if I should continue on. Like, Tiff Mood Nukes, who's a good friend of mine, she took a knee. She kind of stepped back for a little bit, and it's been playing in my mind that I should maybe do the same. Just kind of just take a little bit of a hiatus or a sabbatical. Not gonna lie, man. It's something I'm considering. It's something I'm heavily considering. Or maybe I just say, you know what, I had a really good ride, and I'll ride off into the sunset while I'm on top. But the shadow banning is frustrating because I get people who are like, oh, hey Zeke, I haven't seen your post in at least a month. I thought you took a break. So, but I look at the overall picture, and someone like Jasmine Crockett, you have to go back against her narrative. You have to go back against people like Brooklyn Dad. You gotta go back against people like Harry Sisson. I get people who follow me who get frustrated, who are like, why are you giving them the engagement? Why are you I used to retweet their stuff and respond. Now I just kind of screenshot it. But I had people who would get pissed off at me, kind of like, Zeke, why are you giving them the engagement? Why are you retweeting their stuff? They're making money off of you. And my response to them was always, you know what? If he makes $5 off of my response, or 20, or even 100, I would rather he make that money for now and lose money in the long run, because I'm putting the truth out there. You can't combat a lie by just ignoring it and hoping it goes away. You have to combat a lie by putting the truth out there. And I've had more and more people say to me, you know what? I thought he was telling the truth. And then I saw your response, and I looked up both, and your response was correct. And that's one person I've pulled away from him. And I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep going back at Harry Sisson. I'm going to keep going back at Brooklyn Dad, or Pookie. I'm going to keep going back at JoJo, Gorilla Tits. I got nicknames for all of them. I'm going to keep going back at them, because that's how you combat what they're doing. They would love it if they put their lies out there and you just ignore it. You just, I'm not going to talk to them. That doesn't help anything. He wants you to be quiet. He wants you to stay silent, because it gives his lies some sort of credibility. Why do you think Jasmine Crockett goes on Stephen Colbert and puts lies out there? And he pushed back a little bit, to his credit, a little bit, but he let her get away with lies. Trump isn't starting wars. Trump is ending wars. Prices aren't going up. Prices are going down. There are some things where prices are going up, stuff that's coming from China. He's fighting off with the tariffs and all that, but gas is going down. Milk is going down. Eggs are going down. Like, the stuff we actually really care about is going down. And she puts that lie out there, and you have to combat it with the truth, or else that lie continues to get out there. All the stuff that all the black racists are out there saying, you have to combat it with the truth. They're talking about reparations. You're not going to get reparations. The Democrats are never going to give you reparations. That's the carrot that they dangle in front of the stick. The carrot that they put on the stick. So black folk can go, you know what? Maybe if I continue to vote for this Democrat, I might get reparations. Ayanna Presley up there with her bold, shiny head. Oh, you need reparations. The other one, Summer Lee, with she's actually, you know what? I'll actually put her above Jasmine Crockett, because whatever she's got going on in her head, at least is tamed. It's not wild and crazy. It looks like it should be locked up. Both of them are putting out there, oh, maybe we can get reparations. No, you're not going to get reparations. The government is not going to write black folk $1 trillion check. I mean, and then like, are they going to do the ancestry report? Okay, only one of your ancestors way back in the day was a slave, so we're going to cut you $500. Here you go. I mean, just the logistics of all of it are so crazy and so convoluted, and will cause so much confusion that even if they sign a bill that we're going to give you reparations, it would take 20 years just to figure out who got what, And then I'm reading a book called White Cargo. Don't ask me who wrote it. I don't have the book in front of me right now. I can't remember. Actually, I did a video on it. And I shared it on my IG and my TikTok. But I'm reading a book right now called White Cargo, which has receipts, which details how the Scottish and the Irish were actually the original slaves in America. And so my question is, okay, so do we give their descendants checks too? Do we pay their descendants reparations? So I mean, it's a stupid premise, but they're gonna keep talking about it, and you need people like me who are gonna be out there combating it and going back against it and saying you're not getting reparations. Stop falling for it. Stop falling for the lies and the tales and the stories and the okey doke. Go out there and make your own money. Your reparations are the fact that you live in the freest country in the world, where you can sit and you can trash talk the president and no one's going to come after you. You can sit and trash talk your government and no one's going to come after you. You know what? We just got a bunch of people from South Africa who came here who are going to enjoy their freedoms here in this country. Why don't you take their place over in South Africa and talk the same shit you talk here and talk the same shit about the president and leaders in the government? Why don't you go over there and do that and see how that works out for you? So that's all I keep saying.
You're 100% correct. And the Ayanna Pressley one actually really irritated me today. Her bald head makes me so irritated because she tries to play that I have alopecia line, but she clearly doesn't.
She looked like Charles Barkley in drag.
Dude, it's crazy. But I made a comment on her Twitter. I said, you've achieved the second highest position that a black female has ever achieved in American politics, and somehow it's still not good enough for you. At what point does it become good enough? Do you accept that this is probably your peak? And she blocked me for starters. But there's a lot of these race baiters that don't understand the argument that I'm putting out there. It's like, if you're making millions of dollars, if you have this $1 million company, a journalism company, broadcasting company, at what point do you say, I've achieved it, and I've achieved the American dream, but I'm still a victim? Like, where does that line end? Because like I said, I grew up in a trailer park. I never expected that I would be the position that I'm in. I never expected to be a Spaces host. I honestly, when I started on X, I used to talk about video games, and that was it. Like, I'm a gamer at heart. I talk pop culture. That's what I love. I never wanted to get involved in politics, but because the politics invaded my space, which would be, the movies, the video games, that's how I got invested in all this stuff. And now it's like, I have no choice but to talk about this stuff now. And there's not enough people talking about this. And the more I start to pay attention to what's going on, I see all of these race baiters on the left. And honestly, we have some on the right. I've made someone like Dom LeCrae my a personal target because I hate frauds. I hate fake people. And you have this dude who he steals people's content. He constantly reposts it as his own. He puts his watermark on it, and he acts like it's his. And then he comes out and says, "Oh, I'm Christian, but I'm converting to Catholicism, but I've never been to Israel, and I don't know anything about the Bible." And you start questioning like the legitimacy of these people. And I'm like, how is it that any of these people built a platform, built a solid following based off of lies? And why is it that people that are telling the truth are the people that are being held back? And it's a very dangerous place that we find ourselves, because it's like, we understand that that history is written by the victors, right? But we're in a time right now where we have this free speech platform where you can't tell the truth without being attacked by people. The most engagement I get on my posts is when I speak the truth about biology, and I have the buzzword agenda leftists attack me constantly because, oh, I told a female that has a vagina that you're a female, and apparently that's wrong. Like, at what point does telling the truth is it not good enough on here? Because something's going on and it's stifling our ability to have honest conversation with people. And I sit here every week and I have these conversations with people. It's like the people I talk to are the very same people that are in my position right now. Like, we want to tell the truth, we want to be honest, but something's just like, there's something going on that's preventing that from happening. What has that been like for you?
I mean, it's I mean, my thing is, listen, I got no issues with anybody. You know, I guess the more libertarian side of me feels, hey, listen, if you are an adult and you look in the mirror and you decide, you're a grown man and you look in the mirror and you decide that, you want to become a woman, that listen, that's on you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I've always said, as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not breaking the law, whether I agree with it or not, you do what you feel is best. My thing is, once you start going into classrooms and you start telling children, oh, I'm a they them, and you might be a they them too, and because kids are curious, so now they hey, what's a they them, and now you're doing something that's outside the scope of your job, and you're doing something that's outside the scope of your profession, then that's when it becomes a problem. Listen, if you wanted to go home and you're like Diddy, you want to go home and you sit in the cuck chair while your girl is banging some other dude. Listen, whatever you do behind closed doors, that's on you. I have there's a cop that I worked with as transgender, and I love her to death. I've worked with plenty of gay cops. I got no issues with anybody. But my thing is, like I said, once you start affecting children, or once you start saying I'm a bigot because I believe in the basic tenets of biology, then there's a problem. Then listen, if I can't go to Iceland and say, you know what, I have blonde hair and blue eyes. And if you do not accept the fact that I believe I have blonde hair and blue eyes, then you're a bigot. Because they're gonna look at me like I'm crazy, dude. You black as hell. Don't say that. It's the same thing with a lot of what's going on in the world. When you have people who, you have to alter how you speak basic English. You can't say he went to the park, she went to the park. You have to say they went to the park, and you're talking about a single person. Then it's like, okay, hold on, like that. Wait, what? And if you're not joyously proclaiming yes, they them, then they're looking at you like, oh, you're hateful, you're this, you're that. No, that's not how I feel at all. But I'm confused as hell right now. That's when I start to really raise my eyebrow.
I agree, and I think that this is where internally I struggle with the whole idea of like libertarianism. Like I think Adam is my resident libertarian on the panel. But I think that when I'm put in a position where I have to question biology, or when I'm being forced to question biology, that my faith takes over, and my faith that says that there's men and there's women, and God didn't make any mistakes when He created both, right? But I have people trying to argue that I'm a bigot because I believe what my faith says is true, and it puts me in an awkward position because like I want to have these general conversations with a lot of these people, but they're so afraid of hearing the truth that they capitulate to people in the middle, and they start pretending that I'm some sort of negative or some terrorist that I've never been. I've dedicated my entire life since I was 16 to helping people, and I find myself in a situation almost daily where I'm talking to people and I'm just like, the reality is that there's men and women, and I can be okay with you choosing to be what you want to be in the confines of your own home. But like you said, it's like when you start pushing that on the children, that's when I have a very serious issue. Like, leave the kids alone. It should be that should be like any paternal instinct, not just a maternal. Like anybody that has grown up in American society in general, after 1900s, when we started making some, people started complaining about a lot of this biology stuff coming into the fold. Like, our entire focus in life has been to protect the people around us, whether it's men protecting women and children, or now we're having to fight this battle. We're protecting women in sports. We're trying to protect children in the schools. It's exhausting, and you're constantly attacked and berated for it. I'm just like, at what point do we say enough is enough and we start pushing back? So I'm excited to have this conversation. Let's go to a couple hands. I only see Adam and my boy down there with 2 flags. I can't really follow your name, but Adam, go ahead.
Mr. Willis, Mr. 30 Below.
Okay, Mr. Willis. So we're going to go Adam, Willis, and then if you guys have questions for Zeek, feel free.
Yeah, what's up, 30? Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. You calling me Muslim, man? I left a religion, organized religion, when I was like 21 when my dad died. But yeah, that's not who I am. Regardless, what's up, Zeke? Nice meeting you, bro. You know, I 100% agree with your take, man. With what's it called? You know, libertarian ideal, non-aggression principle, all about that. You know, do what you want in your own home as long as you're not messing with kids. When you start encroaching in women's bathrooms, biological women bathrooms, mutilating and sterilizing children, we got a problem. You know, 18-year-old and up, you're an adult. You can make your own decisions. Do whatever you want. Just don't harm anyone, and that's it. You know, plain and simple. You know, like, but the thing is, like, what that person was like, they're trying to, like you said, like, they're getting you confused, but it's actually them that's confused, and you're based in reality, and they're trying to push their delusions on you, and it's like, no, we're not accepting that, and you know, that's it. Like, you know, we'll accept you for who you are. You know, like, whatever. I'm not gonna have to, you know, change it or alter my wording for you. You know, but that's about it. You know, like, I'm with you on that page. Like, I don't care if, like, someone's gay, whatever. They go do their own thing. They got God to judge them. You know, as far as that goes, my concern. But when you start messing with kids and start mutilating and sterilizing them, nah, that's not cool. So I'm with you there, bro. And appreciate having you here tonight, and everybody else that's joined. If you could repost the space. A way to do that is go to the top of the space. You can hit the up arrow and share from there, or you can press the plus sign in the bottom right corner and just post it out so we can get some more people in here on this conversation. We got a great guest, Zeek Arkham's here, and definitely share it around. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
In my defense, when I say Muslim, it's because we use the term goat in this space quite often. Okay.
Yeah, he brings up his goats a lot. He thinks I bang him or something. That ain't my steez, though.
Listen. Stay away from my goats, Adam.
Listen, like I said, we're a bunch of friends in here, but Adam has constantly for the last 2 weeks talked about sticking peanuts in his butt and breaking them. So that's the kind of space we are in.
I said I could
Mr. Wilson, feel free to go ahead.
Nope,
Adam,
that's how tight my booty is, bro. It ain't loose like yours.
Stop. Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Z? Mr. Story.
What's up, my brother? What's up?
What's going on? If y'all don't know, me and Z, man, we've done a lot of podcasts together. We go back and forth. We got a friendly banter. He's from New York, so I'm from the nation's capital, DC. So I got a lot of mess going on near me. But thank you for having me on here. Now I want to circle back like Raggedy Ann here and go back to Boquisha and. You know, lately we've been having this thing called black fatigue, and it's just pretty much people are getting tired of of black folks, pretty much this victim mentality, everybody's racist, all this nonsense. And that's kind of where I am as far as what I talk about, as far as about podcasts and stuff. And everybody's tired of it. And you're right, you don't have a space, or at least for the common folk to just get on here and be able to have our voice heard about this mess. And frankly, I'm sick of it. The Boquishas and all them, I don't know, the Democratic Party seems to just promote woke black women, either they're ghettofied or they're of the LGBT community. And like I said, I think I'm more of a, you know, do what you want in your house, whatever. Obviously, we don't want to mess with kids, but they don't focus on the real issues that's going on in the black community. And that's what I tend to focus on. And we can never, at least if I'm talking as a black person, I can't talk for any other culture because I'm not them. Well, they call me African American. I like to say that I'm American. And when you try to speak on the real issues in the community, nobody wants to hear it. And frankly, we need more people to just to call them out as they are, right? They don't have anything positive to say. They don't even know what they're talking about. Every time I hear Boquisha talk, she sounds like an idiot, which is crazy because if you see videos of when she first came into politics, she sounds articulate. She doesn't sound ghetto. She's able to speak properly. And now, since the Democratic Party has got a hold of her and anybody else that they promote within their party, I mean, they try to do the same thing with the old vice president. I mean, she had no business being in there in the first place. She was a DEI hire anyway, Kamala the hyena.
Bro, she
But
wasn't black.
Yeah, she wasn't even.
she was, and she's not even black. So, like, the people that they put up there and to represent black folks are all pretty much idiots. You got people twerking up there doing political rallies. You got Cardi B talking to Biden. You got Biden going on these black shows talking about if you don't vote for us, you ain't black. And black people keep thinking that they're going to get some kind of reparations or something from the Democratic Party. We're just pawns. They don't care about us. They don't care about our vote. Well, they care about our vote, but that's about it. But they don't take it seriously. Now they don't really need our vote. You know, they try to get the illegal immigrants to come in this country and try to swindle them with free cell phones, free places to live. Hey, you can have all this stuff, all the taxpayer dollar. So they don't really need black folks anymore. And yet we continue to have this loyalty to the Democratic Party. And now that I work in a different space in the nation's capital, I'm around a lot more liberal folks than I would like to be. But you know, I had a lady come up to me today and say, "Hey, you need to watch out." She's coming. I don't know her. She said, "You need to watch out for white women. Black people are the most racist people in this country right now. I don't understand how people don't see this. They are allowed to get away with killing people. They get GoFundMe's for killing folks. They get to call any other race all sorts of horrific names. But if you get someone to say the N-word, it's, oh my goodness, this country hates black people. And frankly, you know, I think everybody's tired of it. And that's why lately the trend has been black fatigue. And I think people are just tired of it at this point. So that's kind of where I'm at this point in 2025. Also, I'm just basking in the glory of Trump just killing the game.
Absolutely. And everything that you said is correct, right? And a lot of this conversation today sparked from this whole Shiloh Hendricks incident. Because I'm really frustrated by it, right? And I said this last week in my space. A lot of people are losing their mind over the fact that that little kid, you know, he was called the N-word, which I feel like if we have to say the word out loud, that shows a lack of character and intelligence on our part. So I don't use the term, right? Because I hold myself to a higher standard. But the argument that I made was that child, whether he's autistic or whatever, you'd have to look into the current autism rates of Minnesota, which I find incredibly fascinating. He's Somali, he's autistic, which if you've looked over the last couple months, there's been the autism rate in Minnesota has skyrocketed over the last couple years, and they all seem to be Somali. So I'm going to leave it at that. Do your own research. But I said that kid probably heard that term no less than 15 times that day already from the people around him that should have been the people that should have been protecting him. And nobody bats an eyelash. It's the moment when a white woman says it because she's fatigued, she's being robbed, that everybody loses their mind. And nobody says anything when we go around and we say cracker, or we make a comment to an Asian or anything else. It's like, I'm a free speech absolutist, right? But there's got to be consequences for the things that you say. But I'm not going to hold somebody to a standard that I want to hold myself. So if I'm going to use the term freely, I'd allow anybody to use the term freely, which is why I don't use the term, because that's the standard that I set forth. And there's so many people that are so ideologically captured right now that a simple word right now is about to cause cities to burn over the summer again, which is mind-blowing to me, right? We're about to enter Summer of Love 2.0 over a word that is used freely within the Black community, and all of us, and it's like we say that we're proud and we're strong, and then a white woman says it, and then all of a sudden we just lose our minds. And I'm like, we're being incredibly hypocritical at this point. So, thoughts, and then Chris, you can go.
I mean, the N word is in every rap song. You can't tell me that you're gonna put it in a song and be mad when people sing the song with the lyrics. I mean, I don't understand it. I'm like you. I don't say the N word. It's just not in my vocabulary. But you're right. It's hypocritical. I mean, you got Jasmine Crockett clearly just berating Byron Donalds, who's very intelligent, and he's doing well in Florida. He's in government. He's a Black man. He's raising his family. He's not in the news for anything, no scandals nor anything. But Crockett wants to come on here and berate him because his wife is not Black, right? And so we got our own people attacking us for being successful. Why? Because we have a partner that's not Black, which is crazy. But we don't talk about the fatherless homes and the abortion rate between Black families, Black women. That's the problem. That's the main problem. But we want to get mad when somebody says the N word. Our priorities are, I always say, and me and Z have had this conversation. Do we think that it's going to change? Is the culture going to change for the better as far as Black community coming together and having some common sense? I got to tell you, I don't. As right now, I don't think it will.
I think that's why we need more spaces like this, right? Where we have people that sit down and have these difficult conversations with a lot of people and open up the opportunity for people to speak. And not just say it's minorities, like let white people speak, let Muslims speak, let everybody speak about this topic, because it's a controversial topic. And you have to have the controversial, hard-hitting discussions for you really to start attacking the race issue. And what this is doing, because everybody's so isolated and siloed all the time, is it just furthers the racial tension between minority groups as well as white people. It's like anybody that grew up in the 90s, like myself, right? I'm 37 in about 2 weeks. We didn't have this issue in the 90s, and that's the whole point of tonight's title. Like, everything started to change in 2001, where they needed to find some way to divide us, and all of it is finally coming to the front here in 2025, where people have forgotten where we came from and forgotten how close and how unified we were. And all of a sudden, like, we're pretending like racism and oppression has been the one thing that we've dealt with our entire youth lives into our adult lives. And it's just not the truth. And I mean, I share a stage every week with some of the most incredible people, regardless of their skin color. And people don't realize that. There's people that come out here and they push this race narrative, this race war argument, and they're like, at the same time, you're attacking the people that you work with, like The View, right? You have 3 minorities and a bunch of white people, and they're constantly attacking each other. Like, they're supposed to be friends, but they're calling each other racist because that's how desperate they need to have this race war kick off so that people start fighting each other. And I'm personally exhausted by it. I'm tired of it. And I understand the whole Black fatigue, white fatigue, Asian fatigue nonsense. Like, people are just tired. Like, we want the unity that we once had. And it's the elites and the people above them that are pushing this, and it's causing more tension and frustration with people. And prime example, right? The guy that I'm about to go to, Mr. Chris Filby, my 64-year-old tax collector. We hate him because he's a tax collector, but we love him because he's an old white man. He grew up in a society where there was real racial tension. And he could tell stories. Me and him have talked about it. Like, I've never thought any less of him. In fact, I love the fact that he's honest about what it was like growing up in the 60s, in the 50s, like during that time frame. Because people that didn't live there, for some reason, they don't talk about what it was really like. They only regurgitate the things that they see in textbooks. And with that, Mr. Filby, go ahead.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your retirement and on impending anniversary of your birth. And I would like to recognize our guest, Mr. Arkham. Appreciate you being here, along with your friend Mr. Willis. I think it's we've heard some important things tonight that we generally probably would not have heard. One thing that has been a constant for me with respect to these topics is that we have a media that has not been held accountable for a very long time. The last time that the media was held accountable was when Dan Rather was excused out of CBS for his arrogance and lie. And I think that that goes back to like 2000. So you're talking 25 years ago since anybody in the media has had any consequence for what they've been involved in. And that's not to say that they weren't guilty of things before then, but since what we have seen is a media that project on behalf of other people, and they project the kinds of things that you all have been discussing here as gospel truth, and God forbid anybody challenge them on that, because they're the media. Well, they're the media who waited with bated breath for a little website to pick up a file that had been floated by John McCain because it was given to him, and he tried to sell it to mainstream, and they all poo-pooed it because they knew it was a lie. And then it finds itself onto an internet website, and then poof, all of a sudden they have credibility to be able to say, this is breaking news. This was broken by this website, and they've got interviews with all these supposed newsmakers about things that anybody with an inkling of common sense or IQ above room temperature would be able to detect as BS. And then they proceeded to sell it. Some of them are still selling it to this day. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing is what it is. You have no critical thinking going on in the mind of these reporters, and the editors that allow them to, and producers that allow them to propagate it. Whether it's what we saw in Minneapolis in 2020. There's a whole documentary film about that. It's shocking, the fall of Minneapolis. And that didn't have anything to do with race. That had behavior. And then there was more behavior that went along with that. So
Hey, Chris, aren't they listed as entertainment companies anyways, and that's why they get away with that sort of nonsense of trying to pretend they're the news?
But you have news divisions, okay, and they're not allowed to lie under the law because they're given federal licenses to use bandwidth on cable, licenses to use the airwaves, whether it's on the radio or whether it's broadcast TV. Those licenses belong to you. Every one of you in here own those licenses. They belong to the American people, and they are a gift to these people to be able to do their job as a fourth estate, and they're not doing it. What they're doing is they're making money hand over fist, and they're propagandizing almost every day. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit difficult, to deny a plane crash. All right, you're going to cover that. It's a plane crash. All right, so there you go. But then you're going to go into the nonsense that comes after it, and when they're trying to peg responsibility, and then when you get into politics on something like that, you've already left the reservation for the rest of us who actually would like to know whether or not it's safe to get on an airplane. And with regard to this deal with these children, our group has been pretty vocal over a long period of time with respect to, you don't put a handgun in a 4 or 5 year old's hand and give them a carry permit, or you don't take them down to the liquor store and get them all juiced up, and you don't take them down to the smoke shop and get them filled with nicotine and tar, and or take them over to the marijuana hut and get them all stoned. You don't do that, okay? You don't do that because they are below the age of consent. They are below the age of understanding. Their minds, quite literally, if you want to believe science, okay, and supposedly we're all supposed to believe science, that the human brain is not fully developed until it's 25. Now, if you got to wait till you're 18 to join the military, how is it that you can make a decision whether you're going to get your pee-pee cut off? That don't work for anybody. There's nobody in this space that believes that should be true. There's nobody in this space that believes that anybody who barks that out knows that is the truth. It's political propaganda, and it is hateful, destructive organizing on behalf of people who are evil. And if you do not believe that there is evil in this world, the people who are destroying your children, they are the poster children. They're poster people for evil. Evil in this world, evil wherever you see it. And it doesn't make any difference whether it's P. Diddy or Epstein or the counselor at school, or a parish priest. Okay, I mean, I'm happy to take ownership of past issues as far as us, but you just cannot continue to condone this, and you cannot continue media spread this propaganda and destroy our society with nonsense that we all know is not true. So to Mr. Arkham's point, you have to speak the truth. You have to drill down, and well, for some of these people, you just got to slap them upside the head. Say, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Your mama didn't teach you that. You didn't hear that in church, and you sure as hell can't find a book where it's written down as fact. And so, I got to go after the people who propagate, and they're one of the biggest offenders. And I want to thank both of you for being in here with us tonight, and for all the good things that you said, and for giving us an opportunity to chime in on that. And I'm not going to go into any colloquy on you know on words because that's not for me to do. I'm not
Chris, I'm about to limit your ability to speak.
speak for that. So
Come on, man.
Ding ding ding.
Well said, Chris.
Right. It's reading a whole book over here. All right.
you invited me, man. All right, you invited me.
You know what? I know I did, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I haven't heard Chris speak in a week, so he's gonna go on for about 10 minutes.
Well,
But you got your week's worth then, so you're satisfied.
Yeah. Well, here, do me a favor, since you just did that, send Destiny an invite, get her in here.
Yeah, there you go.
now you're retired, you may qualify for government cheese.
I was gonna say I can't believe you did that whole 10-minute speech and didn't ask Zeek about government cheese, bro.
Gentlemen, listen. We are not going to go back to last week's conversation. I have two guests up here. We're going to stay on topic, okay? I'd like to let my guests speak and respond to what you guys have said.
So you're talking about me?
Yeah, go ahead, Z.
What?
No, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with everything he said. You know, like I said, like we said before, it comes to a place where it's like you gotta say it's no more. You know, whether it's you know some kid deciding he's a cat and he goes into school and he's got a litter box in the classroom and everyone's got to go along with the lie that he's really a cat, or you know, just racism, you know, blatant racism coming from a certain group of people, and you're like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and stand for this anymore. You know, at some point you have to draw a line and say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not, you know, I respect what you want to do in your own home. I even respect if you have children, how you want to raise your children. I have a neighbor who is raising and training her son to be a feminist. Because to her, that's what's important. She's got to teach him to be a feminist. And you know what? None of my business. You want to train your son to be a feminist? You want him getting thrown into lockers when he's in high school? Go for it. You know, I have no say in how she raises her son. She's not physically hurting the kid. She's not abusing the kid. The kid's very well fed. The kid takes care. You know, what am I going to say? But when it comes to you have these teachers with the neon colored hair who get into the classroom and they decide now it's their job to indoctrinate your kid, and it's now their job to say, I truly don't give a fuck what you got going on at home. I'm going to teach you about they, them. I'm going to teach you about, you know, that there are 74 different genders out there. And I'm going to teach you that, you know, who God knows what. This is when we have to stop and say, you know what? No, you know, that's not your job. That's not your position. And by you doing this, you are harming my kid. And by doing this, you are introducing something that I'm not comfortable with. You know, I've been saying for a long time, when did we as parents, those of you who are parents here, when did we as parents lose the right to say, I'm not comfortable with this? Somewhere along the line or along the way, we allowed it to get to a point where you can't say that anymore. You can't say, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't know. I don't want this going on. And we have to get that back. We have to get that back because that's vital to us as parents. You know, I've been getting pushback because I have this shirt. Excuse me. I wore a shirt that said, just a parent trying not to raise a liberal. And so I was going to wear it to my daughter's PTA meeting, her parents teachers conference, you know, so that the teacher knows there'll be no indoctrination going on there. And I've been getting pushback because people go, oh no, you like indoctrination, just, you know, you just don't want the indoctrination that you don't agree with. Yeah. I'm cool with that. Yeah. No, I raise my daughter a certain way. I raise her with certain beliefs. I raise her to view the world a certain way. But that's my job as her parent. That is not your job as an outsider. You have no say in this. I have a next door neighbor who went out and bought my daughter a bunch of Afrocentric books. And my daughter's very light skinned. My daughter's biracial. She's very light skinned. And I had a next door neighbor who bought her a bunch of Afrocentric
Oh my
books.
God.
She thought that was something she had to do. And I told her, my daughter, my daughter literally does not care that she is biracial. Her friends or she sees her friends as she sees her friends. She knows daddy looks one way, mommy looks another way. She doesn't give a rat's ass. And you giving her these books now, all you're doing is you're trying to push her in one way or another. That's not what we're doing here. So here are your books back. You can return these back wherever you got them, but we don't need them. It's not your place. That's not your job. And as parents, we have to take the fight back. We have to take our rights back as parents. No, it doesn't take a village. It takes us, and it takes her family, and that's it.
I'll say this, Zeke. See, the LGBT community, they can't reproduce the natural way. So, what is the best way to get people to get in line with their thought process? Is to indoctrinate the young mind. That's why you see these teachers in there. That's why you see these college campuses with all this crazy mess going on. As a matter of fact, I'm a father of 3 boys. I got 3 boys. And
1 second, Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Sunshine. Can you keep your mic muted while the speaker's talking, please? Thank you.
I got 3 boys, and I have to raise them in this crazy world with these crazy liberal teachers. Now, fortunately, I live in an area where the schools, we don't do that. Actually, my area, when the whole COVID scamdemic and they were trying to have the kids wear the mask, my school district was one of the first to say no, we're not doing that. So I live in a pretty good area so far, but they can't reproduce naturally, so they have to attack the children. And Z is right. It's up to us in the household. I would say, Z, you got those Afrocentric books. Is there a father in the house there? Because that's another issue. Because you have the single parent household, which is mostly mothers. I'm not saying, what I'm not saying is fathers aren't trying to be in the house. That's not what I'm saying. There's actually some good fathers out here that really want to be in their kids' lives, but it's just the court system and the mother of the child that try to, keep that from happening. But you see these houses that have single family households, and the women are just teaching them to think like women. And I have to raise my son to say, no, you're a man, you're a boy, and this is how you're going to conduct yourself in society. And it's really up to us to raise this next generation that those of us that do have kids, or not even kids. If you have a niece and nephew, or some family relatives that are children in your family, it's up to us to instill these common sense thoughts. Everybody in here is not saying anything wild and crazy. And it's not even like a right red pill message that we're sending. This is just common sense thoughts. If you would have told me, I'm 38, if you would have told me 15 years ago or when I was in high school that men can have babies, if someone came to me and said that back in the day, we would label them as crazy and we would put them in the hospital, because what are you talking about? That's not a thing, and that can never be a thing. And now we have Apple putting a pregnant man emoji on their phones, right? So it's everywhere where children are. And it's tough, but we got a hard task, but it's what we got to do. And for the taxpayer, I pay my taxes, okay? So don't worry about me. Just ignore me, okay?
Well, it's more insidious than even that. You look at the things that are considered popular in modern culture, right? Little Nas X, right? This satanic gay African American rapper who is apparently the poster boy for everything that they want to push on our modern society. And first off, his music sucks, but apparently he's one of the most popular rappers right now, and it's because that's the direction that they want the society to go. And that's for those of us that are mixed or even black. It's like this is the direction that they want our culture to go, and what people don't understand is that if you go down that route, you're destroying your entire culture. Like you lack the ability to reproduce because they want homosexuality to be the new norm. They don't want you. They don't want you attracted to females. Physically, you don't look attractive to a female because you went down this path, like with all the makeup and blush and all the piercings and all this stuff. And like ultimately, it's designed to destroy our culture as entirely. And when you push back against it, that's when you get all these verbal attacks and these insults, and it's like it's never ending. And especially on our side of the spectrum, where we're trying to fight these battles, not only for our culture, but for the population as a whole. It's like, where are the people that are backing us up? Like, why is nobody speaking out against this? And I know Pepe always has something to add, so I'm gonna throw the mic to you, Pepe, because I know you got something. And I see Jess down there. She always has some pretty interesting stuff. So if she wants to come up and give some insight, I'd love to hear from her. So, and the panel's open for anybody that wants to come up and speak.
Well, I'm just honored, Zeke. Honestly, like, kind of speechless, really. But yeah, it's really ridiculous what's going on nowadays. It's sad, and they're calling you racist over this shit, bro. Well, you tell them that Pepe said that you're an honorarian, Zeke, so they can fuck off.
All right, Mr. Sunshine, I'm going to throw the mic to you, so go ahead.
Hey, guys. Just a little... Well, first, I want to throw a quick shout out to Zeke. I've been following you for a couple of years, brother. I love you to death, man. Thank you for everything you do. The rest of you guys, maybe not so familiar with, but, that can all change. Man, I don't know that we're really taking the 40,000 foot view here. We're looking at the micro issues, the alphabet stuff and the race stuff, but we're not really looking at this is a full-on color revolution we're dealing with here. All right, this is Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals to the fucking letter. All right, and the problem with these people is they don't quit, they don't back down. Every color revolution in history goes hot, every single one of them. And I don't know that we're really paying attention to this. We're looking at the Shiloh Hendrickses, and we're looking at the kid, the Austin kid in Texas. We're looking at the gender bender stuff, and man, it's bigger than that. And I just think that a lot of this, let that shit fall through the cracks, man, and you really pay attention to what they're staging us. I believe that. I know that sounds really extreme, man, but read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, and it's fucking cookie cutter. Thank you.
Well, I would argue, and thank you for your comment, I would argue that there are some of us that are having these conversations. The problem is that it's a controversial topic, and people are afraid to say what needs to be said because they're afraid of losing their following, or they're afraid of offending people. I'll come on here and say exactly what needs to be said because I don't care, right? I have nothing to lose. I spent 10 years in the military fighting for my country. Because I left the military doesn't mean that I'm no longer a patriot fighting for my country. Now I just do it behind a mic on a Thursday night every week, talking about issues that need to be talked about. I'm still fighting for my country. The problem is that there's larger accounts that they stray away from these topics because they're terrified of the blowback that they'll get. And it shows a lot about them, right? It takes a lot of courage to come on here and be like, we need to talk about these race war issues. We need to talk about this stuff. But it's like, at the end of the day, the blowback falls on the host, right? And I got big shoulders. I can handle it. I'm not afraid to have these conversations. And what are they going to do? Call me racist? What are they going to do? Say that I'm a bigot?
But man, is this really about some online stuff though? I mean, nobody gets to sit this out.
This is
nobody gets to sit this out. We're not watching this on TV. When the shit goes down, man, this is every town USA.
Yes,
Mainstream.
You are correct, right? But right now, that online X is the social media square, is the social square. Like, this is where the conversations happen, and this is where the conversation apparently does not happen. The conversation happens on Thursday nights in my space, but when you go to other spaces, it's not taking place. That's the issue that we have. So it's like, you can't make your cake and eat it at the same time. Like I'm doing what I can, but I'm a small account. I'm 4,500 followers, right? Like my entire platform is built off the fact that I attacked Bishop Talbert Swan one time over his race grifting, and that's what I've dedicated my life to now. Like this is where I'm at. And I started as a guy who only wanted to talk about video games, and then their politics flooded into my getaway, my hobby, video games and movies. That's what I was into. And now because that happened, now I talk about it on Thursdays because there's not enough people doing it. And like you see people that want to talk about stuff like Diddy. Okay, cool. Yeah, Diddy's an issue. Epstein's an issue as well. Let's talk about the race issue that's going on. Let's talk about how they're turning the temperature up on the oven because they're putting out the Derek Chauvin stuff about a pardon. Like nobody wants to have those conversations. At least not the big.
But my point, and I don't mean to diminish anything you're doing. Like I said,
I appreciate you, but as a co-host, I kind of got to regulate here, and you keep coming off mic. So just learn to mute your mic when you're not being called on, and then listen to the host. And then if the host calls on you, you could raise your hand to get called on, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me challenge you real quick. Go look at your spaces, the spaces that are pop up in your feed right now, because I'm looking at mine because I'm on a web browser. I see crypto. That one's interesting. It's a Bible space. There's my space. This one's talking about James Comey, which apparently everyone wants to play like he didn't know what 8647 means because, the media is going to run cover for him. It should be a conversation that we're having serious conversation about. It's not happening. Crypto. This one's talking about the Nuggets.
Secret Services paying him a visit.
But it's like, but the problem is a lot of these spaces too, like they're intended to get people talking about what they want us to talk about, and they don't stray away from that conversation. You don't see a lot of the larger accounts having the conversations that need to be had because they're terrified of what will happen to them. They're terrified of the blowback. So go ahead, Pancakes.
Hi, I just want to first give a shout out to Zeek. I'm a big fan of yours, and it's just an honor that you're here and I get to talk to you. I do want to just ask Zeek a question. I'm so thrilled that Trump is making a big connection with the Black community, and he got like over 20% of the Black male vote. And I wanted to ask him, like, what do you think really caused that? Like, why is this sudden shift happening with Black males? Unfortunately, it's not happening with Black females, but what do you think is the reason?
First of all, bro, thanks, man. I really appreciate all the support. I really appreciate everyone who backs me up, who follows me, who looks out for me. I truly appreciate it all. Thank you so much. But I think the main thing is that he's talking to the Black community, and he's extending the olive branch. And he's saying, "Hey, listen, like, I'm here. I'm not out to bullshit you. I'm not out to tell you something and then forget about you. I'm here." I mean, remember, Ice Cube had his platinum plan for the Black community, and Trump was the only one who said, "You know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's start it off. Let's kick it off." While he was campaigning, Biden said, no, we're not really. You can talk to us after the campaign." But Trump, while he was campaigning, sat down with Ice Cube. He did more of the same for his 2024 campaign. So, I mean, I've said over and over again, Black folks are in a very unfortunate situation. The quote unquote Black community is in a very unfortunate situation where the Democrats already know we have your vote. So they can throw a couple scraps at the Black community. They can say, "Oh, you know what? We're going to start the reparations talk again," and they'll do all the things, and the Black community or the majority of the Black community will go, "Yeah, you know what? That just proves the Democrats are here for us." Or they'll get Cardi B to twerk in front of them for a couple minutes and, "Hey, yeah, they got us. They got our backs." And the Republican side's like, you know what? Why are we even going to waste our money campaigning there? They're not going to vote for us anyway, so we're going to pour our resources into a community that could vote for us. And I've always said, Black folks have to dig themselves out of this hole on their own. And Trump extended a hand, and he got a good chunk of the Black vote, but it's going to take a concentrated effort. It's going to take, it's going to take dedication. It's going to take playing the long game, and it's going to take, yeah, you might extend a hand, and it might get smacked back to you. Keep extending it. And it's going to take Black folks, or the quote unquote Black community, saying, you know what, we're tired of getting pissed on. We're tired of our communities looking the same way over and over and over again. And we're tired of being fed scraps and being told to appreciate those scraps. Maybe we should see what the Republicans have to say. So it's going to take work on both sides. But Trump, I think Trump did it, and it was appreciated. And I really hope for 2028, whoever the candidate is, whether it's Vance, whether it's DeSantis, or whether it's someone we don't know about yet, I really hope they continue that method, that practice of saying, hey, you know what, let me try to make some inroads. Hey, listen, I hope it happens for 2026, but baby steps, we'll see.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off what Zeke just said. Actually, it's like you look at the voices that are actually out here trying to make a difference within our Black community, right? It's like Curtis Jackson. It's like Ice Cube. Nipsey Hussle was attempting it, right? And we know what happened in that situation. The people that are actually trying to be a positive influence on their communities are the ones that are immediately thrown aside, cast aside by entertainment, Hollywood, and stuff like that, because that's not what they want them to do. They served their purpose. I use air quotations, right? In the 80s and 90s, Ice Cube, I don't think there was a bigger Black star than him. I would love to see somebody like a Denzel Washington finally, wake up to what's going on and use his platform, because he's one of the biggest Black stars that we have. I think Will Smith is a lost cause, even though he was the biggest Black star in the 90s period. I don't think anybody in Hollywood was bigger than him. But the problem is that they're so ideologically captured by the left that they're afraid to step off that plantation, right? And when you have people that do step off, those are the ones that get silenced. And I love what Curtis Jackson is doing right now, and that's 50 Cent for you guys that don't know. He just moved out into Louisiana, and he's trying to bring an entire production company to make movies in the state of Louisiana, where he's trying to bring commerce to the state of Louisiana, trying to build that up. And Hollywood is trying to shut him down because he's trying to be a positive influence on that area. And we don't have enough people like that. Instead, we look at people like LeBron James, who obviously is in bed with China. He doesn't care. He's got billions of dollars. He doesn't care what's going on around him. We have people like Kamala Harris, who's a Puerto Rican, who is Black adjacent, to use the leftist terms. The voices of Sunny Hostin and people like Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, like people that have been given a platform, they're all spewing the same talking points of America is racist, while they're saying it from a position of privilege and power that none of us on this stage will ever achieve. Let's just be completely honest. I don't think anybody on here is ever going to reach $1 billion in their pocketbook. But the people that are saying that they're oppressed and that they've been held back by the system are the people that are worth millions more than any of us could ever dream of and imagine. And the few voices that are actually trying to say, no, this isn't true, are the ones that are immediately cast aside by the elites. Let's just say, we'll just use that as a term. Because Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent was one of the biggest rappers in the early 2000s, mid 90s, early 2000s. Nobody was bigger than him. And then, Kanye came out, and he's gone down a weird path, but when he came out, nobody was bigger than him. And then they used them to push their agenda, and all of a sudden, now that they're no longer useful, they go to people like Little Nas X and all of these other, awful examples of what it means to, be proud of your Black culture. And as we push back, you're going to see more fighting from the opposite side, because they can't use it. Because we've woken up, we've left the plantation, for lack of better words, and we're just trying to bring the other people with us. And then you bring that, like, the Black female issue that we have is that we live in a welfare society, right? right now everything they just have everything handed to them. So why would they want to change anything? You know, just have kids at will. You know, get child support if you're lucky. We all know the black stereotypes. We don't have to go over them, right? But if they can't get the child support, the government just gives them everything that they need to survive. Section 8 housing, food stamps. We're seeing the amount of dollars that are being spent on SNAP. Why would they ever want to vote for a change when everything that they need is right at their fingertips? And that's a scary place to be, and it's going to be the downfall of our country if we can't reach a lot of these people. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, you could see that nowadays in white / whatever the heck you want to call quote unquote white communities. You know, if you want to call light skinned communities, that's fine. But like, you know, usually, but you see this where, you know, women are divorcing as well, and like are not getting married or having children out of wedlock and then getting that paycheck. It's the welfare state. It's a big con, you know, and it's doing nothing but, you know, making people that aren't, you know, aren't family oriented. They want to break up the family unit. All these things. It's in my personal opinion, it's a Luciferian sort of eugenicist cult that they have there that they're trying to push on us, sterilizing and, you know, just wiping out, you know, humanity. They want population control. They tell you that straight up. So that's how they do it, you know, with Margaret Sanger and John D. Rockefeller with Planned Parenthood, putting those in the black communities, you know, pushing that sort of thing. All of this, it's and you know, it's you know, the black community. Let's just say that was their test subjects. Let's just say on this system, and then they just push it out to all the rest of the groups of people. So yeah, it's evil, man. That's it. That's all. The only way I could personally describe it is what these people are doing to, like, you know, blacks, whites, whatever, just Americans. Period, is evil and it needs to stop. And I only see the way of stopping that is through, you know, so what we got done in 2024, coming together as Americans and getting Trump in the White House, and now we got his team in there, and we just got to continue this, you know, coalition of Americans, period, you know, to save this country from the debt these Republicans and Democrats have created, you know, over the past, shoot, we went up, like, you know, since between Bush and Obama, we went from 4.57 trillion to 21 trillion or 20 trillion, right? And in a short span of time. Now those spending programs were still running, and Trump came in office. He started cutting spending on wasteful fraud and abuse and stuff like that along that way, but he wasn't like equipped with a team that he's got right now. So, and he didn't have Elon Musk to go in there and go through the books. So we're still dealing with Republicans that aren't, you know, are part of this, and we got to get them out. The Democrat Party is no way, like, you know, with their super delegates and just the way their party is structured, there is no way to do that, and they're far off the edge, you know, like as far as where they've gone. They had to resort to the you know, the immigration and or the illegals essentially, and they shipped them out to states where they weren't taking voter ID. That's how desperate these people are right now. They see that they've lost the black vote. They've lost so many other culture, the Spanish vote, whatever, the Middle Eastern vote. You saw Middle Easterners in Michigan go out and vote for Trump, you know, like record numbers. So they're losing everybody, and they got to manufacture their voters essentially. So they're in deep crap. It's just, I think, as far as us, we just got to keep stepping on their throat and twist harder, and you know, basically bring this country back to being, you know, like somewhat like what we had the '90s, but better. You know, and we could do better than that, I believe.
You know, that's the thing, right? This space exists to reach you know, one or two people. If I can change the opinion of a few people every week, that's what matters to me, right? I don't have the reach of a Zeek. I don't have the reach of larger accounts, but I do have a voice, and I'm pretty articulate for the most part. You know, most of the time I do have a TBI, so it hurts to think sometimes, but you know, I'm not going to blame my military service for anything that I endure. But if I can wake 1 to 2 people up every week and get them to start thinking about things in a different way, then I've achieved my goal for that week. Like this space is purely for that, to give people an outlet to talk about these things, because we need to have them. And I'm sick and tired of like going online, like popping into X, and all I see is conversations about crypto, conversations about Epstein files that we're never going to get, Diddy files that we're never going to get. I'm tired of seeing that stuff be the focal point of everything going on, while there is a color revolution going on in our country right now, and they're trying to sow division and hatred, and nobody is being willing to talk about it. Like one of the key characteristics that the military taught me is always being honest. Integrity is the most important thing that I have in my life, right? And I'd like to wake up tomorrow knowing that I told the truth. And a lot of people, like, they're so fluid with what they consider the truth, right? They sit on the fence and they ride the political wave trying to find their place. And I'm not going to do that. Like I want to have the difficult conversations, and I'm willing to have them because we need to. So I thank you guys, because this has been a good panel. And Dr. Souza, I did send you an invite. I'd like to get your input on this if you'd like to pop up and give some insight. So I was reading through your timeline, and you have some pretty interesting thoughts that I'd like to see if you'd be willing to share as well. Go ahead, Adam. Your hand is still up if you got a thought.
My bad, yeah. Oh, did you call on me, Mr. Third? I had stepped away for a moment.
You are just the worst person imaginable.
Well, you're the worst, bro. Who are you talking to? No, listen.
I mean, at least
So sorry guys, I gotta run for the night because the wife is starting to look at me like, how long you gonna still be there? But thanks for having me on, and definitely invite me back for the next one. So we can continue to share our thoughts. I definitely appreciate you guys having me here.
Zeek, it has been the privilege of a lifetime getting the chance to sit and have a conversation with you. Thank you so much. You didn't even have to respond to my DM, and that means a lot. And I know a lot of people aren't willing to do that with a smaller account, so I'm very privileged and honored to have you here tonight. So thank you.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, guys. Everybody, have a great night. Thanks for listening.
thank you for your service, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Susan, thank you so much for coming up. How are you doing? Welcome.
Hello, how are you? I was just listening in. I just really appreciate diverse, nuanced spaces, where everything is not black and white and no one's arguing. I love it.
You know what's funny is last week somebody said that my space is an echo chamber. And
Really?
I can't get over it. Like I try to have nuanced conversations. But apparently, 1 week it's an echo chamber, and the next week it's a very diverse, different opinion space. So that says a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I was just listening and you brought me up. Perhaps would you direct me in what you'd like to query?
Just whatever your opinion is regarding the current race war, like the turning up the temperature.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to discuss, like, because I know right now that there's not a lot of people talking about this. They put out this feeler saying that they're going to release Derek Chauvin, that Trump is going to
Right.
Obviously, people that aren't intelligent or understanding of the situation, think that a Trump pardon is going to set him free, but
Right.
they don't understand that he's in prison under state charges, not federal charges. And
Okay.
it's put out there in a way to make people think that he's going to go free. If Trump pardons him, it's only going to be on the federal charges, which is not going to get him free. But
Okay.
it's being used to drive this racial tension and division.
Right.
And,
Right.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things, I've been around a while. I'm not, I'm not 20 or 30, I'm far beyond that, and I used to teach around race and gender and class. And I used to teach in that area because my students needed certain classes, for graduation to going towards licensure at the master's and doctoral level in psychology and family therapy and things like that. And one of the things that has really bothered me is the fact that we are running on information that is information based on partial truth, lies, and omissions. So we have information that omits other pieces of information, and it creates a narrative that's not true. And this is in many areas. I could list them, but we are running on emotion, and it's not good. And I'm just gonna say it. A lot of Black America is captured on the left with omissions, lies, partial truths, pieces of information that have been left out. And it goes it runs a gamut from Haiti to Rhodesia / Zimbabwe to South Africa to this Carmelo situation to Derek Chauvin. I mean, I have helped out with forensic evaluations, and you have to follow data. You have to follow forensic evidence. And if there is forensic evidence to free Derek Chauvin, I'm sorry, then he needs to be freed. Sorry. If there's forensic evidence to support, who is this young man, the rapper? He went to prison for shooting Megan in the foot or something. If there is forensic evidence, I'm sorry. So, me, I'm scientifically minded, I'm evidence based. What the research shows, I'm a believer in research. I've taught quantitative analysis, I've taught qualitative research design and analysis, quantitative, qualitative program evaluation, and so forth. I've hired professors and I've taught them myself, and I believe in the scientific method. You know, so I can't just run off of emotion, but then I'm called a coon and a sellout, and I'm eating master's butter biscuits from the table on the plantation. If I say, hey, we need to look at this data, it's very important, and so forth. So I've actually steered away from it completely. The only reason why I come to your space, and I've been following the co-host. Sorry, I can't see the name, and we've started following each other because I am evidence based, and I believe in that. And I think that we need to face truths, even if they're painful for the Black community or painful for the white community or painful for whomever. We need to face truths. And I don't know. I'm going to land so that I can hear your feedback on what I just said so that I don't ramble.
Uh, the truth is important, right?
Yeah.
And I say this all the time when I'm talking to a lot of people, especially people like Black Americans. They don't want to hear the truth, right?
Exactly.
It's like, how can I have an honest conversation with you
Right.
when you still believe like a Kyle Rittenhouse shot three
Right,
black
right.
people in
Oh
Kenosha?
my gosh. I saw
Um,
some of those videos where people were like, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse shot Black people. I'm like, really?
yeah,
How,
and this is
how is there a Zoom call with 20 Black people on the Zoom call thinking that Kyle Rittenhouse shot Black people? I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible, you know?
exactly, and this is like the upward battle that I constantly try to get people to understand that a lot of us are fighting. It's like
Right.
there's Black people in our country that still think Kyle Rittenhouse shot three Black people, which is
Unbelievable.
not true.
It is unbelievable. Yeah.
They deliberately ignore the autopsy report for the Derek Chauvin stuff. Like
Right.
it's undeniable that George Floyd had fentanyl in the system, and it could have
Right.
contributed to
And that we have a
cardiac arrest.
fentanyl addiction that is harming all Americans.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And Derek Chauvin did what he was trained to do.
Right.
I spent 10 years in the Army as a combat medic. Like, if I was in the situation that Derek Chauvin was in, I would have done the exact same thing in that situation.
And then
You
do
have to
you know
restrain them.
Derek Chauvin and Floyd knew each other and had conflict with each other prior, and none of us were made privy to the details of that
Mhm.
story. See,
Yeah,
that's
and
what I
even
mean
then,
by that's what
even
I
it,
mean by acts of omission.
I
You
would
know,
say that that part right there doesn't have as much bearing on the incident as a lot of people want to make it seem, because
okay.
then it allows them to make that race argument that it was a
Well,
black man
but
versus a white man. But
you know,
you can't
okay,
deny that they
that's
know
true.
each
That's
other.
true.
Like,
Hmm.
and that's what I try to stay away from, because if you give a little bit of wiggle room in that argument, then people are going to latch onto the race issue and they're going to
But
ignore the facts again.
mhm,
Um,
perhaps, but when all the cards are on the table, you can make you can make a summation when all the cards are on the table. So I'll
True.
give you an example. Do you mind? May I?
Sure. Feel free.
Okay. There is a story of the men in the train car. I think it's the something nine. Um, this was a story. This was an issue back where two white girls, they were on the train car, and there were nine men, and they said the white girls accused them of rape. Okay, they were black men, and everybody said, "Oh my God, the white girls made a false allegation against the men, blah blah blah," and they recanted the story. So pay attention to the word they. They recanted the story. There were white girls who were lying. Okay. Well, the reality is that's not true. I'm trying to think of what is something nine. Maybe somebody in the that's listening can come up with a proper name for it. But anyway, the nine guys, they were arrested and they almost got lynched, and the whole southern story that we're accustomed to hearing. Well, one woman recanted her story and one woman did not. And one woman said, "You know what? I'm not trying to open a case. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to go after the men. I am just going to go to my grave with saying that those men did rape me on the cart. And my husband, but then fiance, I asked him, will you still accept me as a bride? I was raped on that train. Will you still accept me as a bride?" And he said yes. And they've been married, married ever since, and they're like elderly. So she said, "No, I'm not recanting my story." And the other woman said, "I recant my story." See, so two women, and they each had reasons for what they communicated. Now, okay, without going into the weeds, knowing this type of nuance so that we can have a discussion as to why and what and where and when and how and so forth. We should have that opportunity. We should not be manipulated into just taking the assumption that you know black is guilty. I'm sorry, black is oppressed, white is guilty. Black is weak, and white is dominant and just constantly flexing their dominance, and so forth. This black and white thinking, absent nuance, absent learning more details, so that we're not manipulated emotionally and then making those decisions. What happens to Black America is Black America is captured emotionally by the left, and it's real strong. Now, Black men are breaking away. And for Black women, it went from 4% to 7% voting conservative. And there's a lot of Black women. I know them personally. I know the groups because I'm in some political spaces. There are a lot of Black women, they just won't vote or they vote independent. They could be on the left, but they're like, I don't trust the left. I don't like the left, but can't I can't pull the trigger to voting for the right. So they just stay neutral or don't vote at all. See? So this capturing, this emotional manipulation about history, everything from everything from the from Haiti to Rhodesia slash Zimbabwe to South Africa to the United States to the South to Black Wall Street to Susan B. Anthony and the Black women in the feminist movement in the early part, on and on and on. We do not have the truth. And I think so. Why am I saying all of this? I think that if we had the truth, if we had all the truth, even if it's difficult to process the nuance, the whole concept of two things can be true at the same time. If we had that, I think we would be in a better place.
I think the issue that we have is that within our culture, we listen to a lot of people who have been recognized for their, I guess, how would I say, like, they've been recognized as like exceptional, right?
Okay.
Rappers, athletes, artists.
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
And that's because like when we boil it right down, like there's nothing exceptional about a lot of these people other than
Exactly.
they just regurgitate the same talking points that have
Exactly.
to them.
Oh my God, I love how you said that.
But the problem that we have within our own culture is because we put so much weight into what they say that we don't do our own research. And that's and I've told this story many, many times. I graduated high school 2006. I joined the military. I served in the military under Barack Obama. And it was a miserable time. I voted for Obama because I thought that was the best path forward. And it was actually the Obama years that woke me up and led me down this path where I fully identify as a conservative. I was anti-Trump when he first came out. I didn't believe that he was a guy that could potentially be a positive influence on our culture or on our society. But also it's like you had Donald Trump or Mitt Romney.
Right.
You had Hillary Clinton or, and it came down to Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. And I'm just like, I found myself like politically homeless at the time. And I started questioning a lot of the things that I would see in social media or online talking about how Trump is this awful, awful person and everything that he does is the worst thing in history. But then I looked at somebody like a Hillary Clinton and I was like, but nobody's talking about the Clinton Foundation, right? Nobody's asking any of these questions. That's when I started to realize like, we're just being lied to all the time. And I was one of the people who believed the lies. And I voted based off that in 2008, 2012, 2016. I voted that way. And I have deep regrets for it, but not as much anymore because now I'm like, I know exactly the path that I want to go the rest of my life. And this is where I'm going to go. And my path has me wanting to wake people up within my own community, like yourself, like Zeek, like Mr. Willis. Like we're clearly on a path trying to reach the people that, for generations people thought couldn't be reached.
Right.
And that has been an eye-opening experience for me because I never thought that I would be here. Like I said earlier, I only started on social media to talk about video games and movies. And now I guess I would be considered a voice in the conservative commentary space, which blows my mind because all I wanted to talk about was video games, movies, and sports. And it's crazy that transition, but it all started because I started looking into the lies that were being fed to us.
Exactly. And I couldn't believe, I voted for Biden, and I knew what he was going to do in terms of what he was going to do to women. And I said, no, it's not going to happen that fast, but I was too scared to vote for Trump. So I'm just telling you, this is just my personal, this is not a macro. And I voted for him, but then, then he completely betrayed women and girls. And like on day one, like literally day one of his presidency. And I said, Lord, I did not know he was going to go for it this fast, And I said, I can't do that. I can't do that again. And I have to have faith in thinking differently. And a lot of women, a lot of women in particular, so Black women Black women are too afraid to speak up against a lot of what's happening and a lot of how the left manipulates and use Black women. So they're in secret spaces all over Telegram, all over Facebook, all over private websites that practically need like FBI clearance to get in. And a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know that, that there are a lot of people that they're too afraid to pull the conservative trigger, but they're in private spaces and they are talking about, being free from the toxicity that's inside the community. Something that you said about, rappers, you know, these spaces, no one respects the voice of rappers, hip hop, the voice of athletes, Black people. But they're not going to come out. Millions of Black people are not going to come out of private and secret spaces and say, oh, I have Black fatigue, oh my gosh, these rappers, they need to stop talking for us. They're not going to do it because the vitriol and the aggressive reaction is frightening. You know, people don't want death threats. People don't want threats. People don't want to deal with their names being out there. But there are a lot of women and some men that are in secret spaces and private spaces all over that they don't want rappers speaking for them. Rap and hip hop and BET, they brought a lot of harm they brought a lot of harm to the community with the imagery that got put out and is still out there, especially to women. Now we have new news, we have new TV channels. I'm forgetting. I think Ray J, Brandy's brothers, got a TV channel, and then there's another one. I forget the name. There's two new TV channels, and they already have shows about Black women fighting and beating each other up. And then you have hip hop where BET had in heavy rotation really negative imagery of Black women, and then their value went up based on how they put Black people in negative rotation. And then they got bought out by Viacom for $5 billion. So, it just goes on and on and on. And there needs to be some type of self-reflection inside of the community because the white community cannot fix it. The larger community cannot fix it. At some point there needs to be some self-reflection, on what's going on to improve or to do better inside of the Black community. And part of that, and for all of us to get along better, and for certain communities to not be the pariah, there has to be some internal reflection. There has to be some honesty. There has to be some truth in the stories that are being told. We can't just keep recycling lies. We can't just keep recycling acts of omission, purposefully leaving out important parts of a story. For example, I gave an example a little while ago. We can't do that. It just keeps people radicalized, emotional, angry, cussing people out, fighting, and that's not good. And that maintains this quote unquote race war scenario.
Mr. 30, just so you know, Mr. Willis has his hand up. I don't know if
Yeah, no,
I know spaces
I was just
are
about to
buggy,
say.
so I figured I'd mention it.
Yeah. You know how I do. I let my speakers speak, and then I call our hands. Chris, you can wait. Go ahead, Mr. Willis.
No, I was just I love the conversation. I appreciate you letting me talk. I know I just kind of snuck in here. I saw the group talking, so I wanted to see what was going on. I don't really do a lot of spaces on X, but this is really good. You're right. We need more conversations like this. What I've gathered out of this conversation is that there's more people that actually want to have these conversations. It's just nowhere to have them, or no one's bold enough to have it, or our accounts aren't big enough to gain the traction, like some of these I call them Holly weirdos and celebrities and athletes. I never listen to any of those clowns, but people do. I don't know why. But I have to get out of here. So I just want to thank you. And if you're doing this every Thursday, I'll be looking out. I'll follow some of y'all, and I'd love to do it again. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, real quick, Mr. Willis, thanks for coming through. Usually we have bigger spaces, but this P. Diddy thing right now, that people popping off on spaces over there talking about that. So, we usually will have a bigger audience and a whole lot of different panel of speakers. And thanks for joining us tonight, Mr. 30. Right to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this space started because we don't have these conversations, right? And you're the size of your account, 30,000. Zeek is 400,000. Like, I'm a nobody trying to have these conversations, like, on X. So, but somebody had to start somewhere, right? And I figured, why not me? Why don't I be the guy with the small platform to throw the rock out in the lake and cause the ripple effect? So why not? Let me start the wave. So, I'm gonna open it up, general discussion, whatever you guys want to talk about. Unfortunately, like I said last week, tomorrow I do have to be in Anchorage for a funeral. So after immediately following this space, I will be driving 6 hours to get to Anchorage for a funeral tomorrow. So we're gonna go probably another half hour. So Adam, if you can get the song ready, and then we're gonna close out like we normally do. So open discussion for the next 15-20 minutes. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, thank you, and I hope you don't get damaged by earthquake as you're going to Anchorage or a volcano.
I have a much better chance of being robbed in the parking lot of Target, which has happened previously because it's the Chicago of the North.
I hear you.
You got robbed at Target.
Veerling, is that right, Dr. Veerling?
Yes.
I looked up your case. It's a 1931 case, and it's called the Scottsboro. What is?
Yes, the Scottsboro 9. Thank you for looking it up.
Right. It was 9 black teenagers falsely accused of raping 2 white women on a train in Alabama. And so I just wanted to let you know that I did take the time to you have that reference, because it sounded like, it's an important case. And you got all this stuff running around in our heads that, this is where AI comes in handy. So I was able to take that out of a Grok, which is the gift given to us by, or may not be a gift, but a tool given to by Mr. Musk. But Doctor, I believe that your points were so well taken in terms of the line by mission is one of the art forms used to manipulate people, and it's in high practice in some sectors of the political world, and it's been major practice in the news media. They are absolute professionals at lying by mission. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because that was such a very important point. And you don't know what you don't know, and if you leave out key facts, it changes the complexion of everything that there is. So that's all I wanted to bring up. Thank you very much.
Let me jump in real quick. I did want to like hone in on what Doctor was saying there, Suzanne. Yeah, we followed each other a while back. I think it was probably the COVID spaces or something we were talking. But yeah, definitely, I'm all for seeking the truth and trying to find the facts. Um, you know, there was a space that I was in earlier today, and this lady, she's libertarian like me myself. I'm libertarian, classical liberal, conservative, as far as our values and traditions here as Americans. But, I was talking about Chase Oliver, who was the front runner for the Libertarian Party in this last election, right? He was their candidate. And I said that he was okay with transing kids. And she's like, no, 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 I got to push back on that. And she's like, he was talking about, that it's to the parents that kids should parents have rights, and he was speaking for parental rights, this and that. And I looked it up, and I'm like, I'm an honest broker, so I'll look it up, and I see, okay, exactly what she said. I'm not in support of transing kids. I'm in support of parents meeting with their doctors to determine the best health care decisions for their kids. That's my problem. And I explained to her, because I'm an honest broker, I acknowledge what he said, but I acknowledge also what he didn't say. Okay. That parents can go ahead and mutilate and sterilize their children. As a society, that is not acceptable. And that's a done deal breaker. And that's why I went after him the way I did, to try to get libertarians. And I had libertarian spaces for Trump, because I recognize this. This is the Libertarian Party itself, like me, just like Jeff did. We were tired of the Bush war hawk, Republican war hawks, essentially, and we supported Obama because he promised change. We didn't get that change. It was just more of the same agenda, and furthered it just because we got our first black president. So now we could go full force with that agenda that these globalists want to push, and push their new world order, as every one of them had said. From we're going to usher in a new world order. Every single one of them, Obama, Bush, Clinton, you know, go to Bush Senior. I'm going to usher in a new world order. So that they're all of the same ilk, but they wear different badges. Republican, Democrat. So that's where I was at personally. I was politically homeless after, I saw Obama was nothing but a two-time lying, backstabbing son of a gun. So I went to the Libertarian Party with Ron Paul and the Tea Party movement, and you had the Koch brothers, which are the Republican side of things, or the Rhino side of things, let's say. They infiltrated the Libertarian Party. And then after the Libertarian Party with Gary Johnson, who was a good candidate. I love Gary. My family voted for him against Hillary and Trump. But after that, that was hijacked by the left. And then you have this, sort of trans agenda that's been pushed into the Libertarian Party. So they're a mess, in my opinion. And that's why I told, a lot of libertarians, we got to save this country. We're not going to have a country. You guys have been paying attention, like I have, to the fiscal cliff and the deterioration of American values, which we all appreciate, but we're okay. We're classically liberal in regards to the guys, in regards to like people doing what they want on their own, in their own household. We're not going to allow golden showers in the streets because that's indecent exposure, number one. And number two, just don't mess with kids. That's the bottom line. And don't go messing with women's sports, which they fought so hard to get, set up. Have a woman's, capability of playing sports and having these organizations. So it was undermining it. And it's just a big game for these elitists. They're not elite. They're mostly dumb and bred. Related to each other some way or other, type people that are just dividing and conquering Americans. But I think we're at a cusp. I've never seen so many awake. What we used to call woke back then, around the Obama days, is like you were woke because you were woke to this globalist agenda, and they hijacked that term. And now we have to say awake because they stole it, just like they stole the word liberal. You know, liberal, liberty. You know, you believe in people's personal rights and freedoms. So there's nothing wrong with being liberal, classical liberal, but these people are total progressive Marxists, is the bottom line. And they try to steal these, like, you know, kind of labels that are American, essentially. So yeah, discernment and speaking up when it's hard is very important, especially after what we went through in COVID. Like, I stood up, I got alienated, I got called crazy, I got called I'm gonna kill grandma, I got called a germ monkey, I got called all sorts of things, but I didn't care because I stood for the truth, and I knew I dug into the research, and I got the facts of how long mRNA has been in development. How long does it usually take to approve a drug? Okay, this EUA, what does it take to get an EUA approved? That means there has to be no treatments available, and that EUA is illegitimate, and that's why I think the key point to get to is deeming that illegitimate, because that takes the big pharma's veil of protection in regards to getting sued. And I'll yield with that. I know I'm talking a little bit on a diatribe, but I'll yield there because we don't land planes up here in Black Ops.
It's all no, don't lie. It's because
we don't land planes here.
Well, Adam doesn't land planes anyways. He's an Arab.
Are you trying to say I crash planes?
You just blow them up, yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
It's a DEI panel. Let's be honest. Come on. So, Dr. Susan, we have a lot of internal jokes that we use here, just because we're a bunch of friends, have these conversations all the time. So, I tell people at the beginning of the space, don't be offended on anybody else's behalf, because my favorite Jew is down in the audience right now, so I wasn't going to let him sneak in and not say anything. Like, we've built this panel over a year and a half, so like we all have these conversations all the time. So when people get offended, I find it kind of funny.
We got a black man, we got an old white man, we got a Middle Eastern Slav with a Muslim Christian background, and a Orthodox Jew that doesn't believe in the state of Israel.
Yeah, Black
it's pretty diverse.
Black Ops is diversity. This is the most diverse panel on a Thursday night that I can think of. So
I love it.
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed the conversation tonight. Adam, even though you are officially the co-host of Black Ops, I am definitely limiting your time to speak.
What? Just earlier you were like, oh, you don't want to speak? Like, I've been trying to be quiet tonight and not speak as much. And then you lambast me for speaking, not speaking. Like, which one is it, man?
It's a no-win situation.
Yeah, I know. I've figured that out by now.
Aaron, my favorite Jew. How be the space lasers? Also, Destiny. Destiny now shows. Oh,
after Zeke's gone.
Destiny.
Damn,
dude. I sent her an invite an hour and a half ago, and now she pops in. What a.
He's probably talking about dating.
Opportunity. Oh, she was Destiny. Get on up here. I have to yell at you. Go ahead, Mr. Space Lasers.
Well, I this week you had Mike Lawler and Marjorie Taylor Greene arguing about Jewish space lasers. So I joked to Vinny, telling him that if these two can't stop talking about him, I'm going to call the mothership and ask them to zap these two, because this is not good PR for us. But no, but again,
Aaron. Watch it. Last week you were talking about ethnically cleansing.
Oh yeah,
and burning down the ghetto. Calm down.
Right, because we definitely have them space lasers, right? Because
listen, I know you Jews are into depopulation, but calm down. Oh no. Calm on.
Yeah.
Look, bro, I just want my foreskin back.
You're not getting it.
There are methods.
All right, I apologize, Dr. Susan. I'm taking away all of their talking privileges. Destiny, you're in trouble. I love you though. Hi. You missed out on a fantastic conversation. We had Zeek Arkham in here, had a great conversation about, the ongoing race war. I was hoping that you'd pop in. You and Sally. I was really excited to have you both show up for this one, but I guess I can't have everything.
The
in my-
Diddy
Sorry,
space. That's it.
sorry. I don't think my opinion would be any good, though, to be honest. Like, I feel like it's such the race thing is, people have to figure it out on their own. There's nothing I'm going to say to fix it. As much as I would try, and I do try, it doesn't seem to, like it's going to have to go its course, unfortunately.
Destiny, it's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
You know, I just want to say that if we harken back to our core beliefs given to by our Creator, that love will conquer everything, and of course, I love you, Destiny, and so
That's enough of that.
You can't
you
mute the
couldn't mute him, you're the
co-host
co-host.
for simping, all right?
I know.
and
I know.
I want to recognize our president from Las Vegas, where what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. The lovely Ty.
Oh, I was gonna say something to Pi, but she's always busy, so.
I've sent her several mics and she hasn't taken the bait.
Well, it's because she doesn't. Well, if she did take the mic, it would take her forever to figure out how to speak. So, just show her some grace. Now back to Destiny, though. Basically, we were just having a conversation with Zeke about like the ongoing race war. And we were just talking about it from, the perspective, my perspective, like you and I, very similar, mixed race families. Also, a happy belated birthday to your mother. I know Tuesday was difficult for you, so sending my love to you. Yeah, we were just, I wanted to have a diverse cast of opinions up here. So I'm really upset well, not upset. I'm sad that you and Sally couldn't show up for that one, because I know Sally wanted to have this conversation as well. So, but Diddy is important. He's beating women. So
We'll have to do a makeup on it then and do another space.
well, luckily for me, I've met some incredible people tonight. Dr. Susan, Mr. Willis, and Zeke. And Zeke we're DMing back and forth, so we're gonna be having another space regarding this stuff. So very excited for that. Where did he go? Okay, well
He said he'd come back
dropped out.
next week.
No, somebody.
That was Mr.
Dustin
Willis.
was up here. No, I was looking at Dustin. Dustin just dropped. So, but yeah. So
Well, no.
Destiny, what's
Oh, my bad. I was just going to tell Adam, Mr. Willis said he'd stop in next week if he saw it too. But
yeah.
no, before Zeke left, he said he'd come back next week.
Yeah, let's if the left wing activists stop trying to get my account banned, maybe I'll be able to grow this space into something special, because I have the awful opinion that if you have a vagina, you're a female, so that gets me mass reported all the time. So
I think you guys could join forces. Like, I don't mind sitting in the speaker box while you guys co-host. Like, like team up, man. Like, I think what do you think? I see Pepe throwing up the 100. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, dude. That would blow his fucking reach up. It will blow your reach up 30 below. Do it.
And then that's 3 strong black men, focused on family values and morality and, helping things get better. So I don't see any better Black Ops than that.
hell yeah, I'm excited for that. Who just requested that? Was that Dustin? Hold up. Oh, it is Dustin. So, like I said, we're going about another half hour, so I'm going to open up the panel. What's on everybody's mind? Feel free to bring anything to the forefront. talk about whatever you guys want. Adam has our song queued up. So for those of you guys that are new to a Black Ops space, what we do is I give everybody about a minute or two when we close things out to put their final thoughts in. Then we have a song that we play. So I am Christian first and foremost in my life. I give everything to God. So we take about a 3-minute time and I play a song just to give glory to God. Then we pray. We give an encouraging word to go about our week. And that's how we close out every Black Ops space without fail. It's not a success if we don't do it the right way. So let's go to open panel. No hands needed. Go ahead, Dr. Susan.
Just a quick question. So is this a space that's weekly, and do you keep like an invite list? Because I would love to come back. I just discovered your space. I know you're awesome, and Adam is awesome. So that's what made me land. And so I'd love to be able to continue and keep listening in. What's your how do you maintain the space?
So this space, Black Ops, is every Thursday. I had to take a slight hiatus early this year because I had to have surgery. So I didn't host for a couple weeks and it took a break. But now that I'm officially retired, and I want to focus on being more active in the community and talking to people, we will be doing Black Ops every Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And wait,
What time?
6 p.m.
Eastern?
Pacific. 6 p.m. Pacific. Look, man, listen.
6 p.m. Alaska time.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Alaska time, which is 10 somewhere else in the world, and 5 o'clock somewhere.
Eastern.
Time to drink. Listen, shut up, okay? But yeah, I do this every week. Adam is my my official co-host, and it's a very diverse cast, as you can tell. Politidoxy, Aaron comes up often. Chris is always up here. So we have everybody from all walks of life up here, and I don't limit anybody's ability to speak. I don't silence anybody unless they start snipping for people, Chris. But I don't withhold a mic from anybody that has something that they want to come up and say. And I think I'm one of the few spaces that actually does that. And I think that sets me apart. So, but yeah, I'd love to have you back.
Thank you. I love it.
All right, Aaron, go ahead. What's on your mind?
If you want to reach more people, I don't know how comfortable you are with with having your face out there, but on Instagram you will get much more coverage. It'll be you get much more. Today
I'm banned on Instagram. Can't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I called a whore.
That's it?
Yeah.
He's a strong black man with an opinion that's not a liberal opinion.
Yeah. I called it. I said, "You dirty whore, your dad should be so proud." And the next thing I knew, my account was banned immediately. Yeah. Boom. So.
Well, listen, I'm gonna give you my advice and then move on. So, if you can make a new account, I think you'll have much more. If you could stay away from making such comments on Instagram, you'll have much more success. I've now reached 22,000 followers and still growing. I've got millions of views. I'm at 35 million views for the last, 2 or 3 months. I don't even remember.
You making money?
No, I'm not making money, but I'm getting the views and I don't need the money. And furthermore, Instagram needs to stop with, sorry, not Instagram. Twitter needs to stop with the giving out the money because everybody's a grifter now. But anyway, that's my hot take for today. But my main point is this, that on Instagram, you'll get much more views. It's much, you get more likes, more views, you talk to more people, you get more exposure. And, it's the first time ever once I started posting on Instagram, it was the first time ever I actually experienced liberals commenting in my comment section and disagreeing with me. And I was like, and they had a lot of nasty things to say, but it was so freaking refreshing that I'm finally getting some exposure. Not only that my opinions are going out there to other people who disagree with me, but I can actually now interact with the people who disagree with me and have a normal discussion instead of living in an echo chamber. Meanwhile, on Twitter, I don't have my official account. This is not my official account. So On Twitter, I did not reach anybody, and it was always people who agreed with me. So I was like, I need the back and forth. So it was refreshing, even though they're nasty. It's refreshing to finally be able to talk to people who disagree with me. Anyway, so I say this is my advice: try again, stay away from comments like that, or at the very least, if you're going to use comments like that, mask it behind euphemisms or alluding to things. That's basically how I do it, and people understand. People pick up on, oh, I get what he's trying to say, and that's basically it. I'm telling you, you get way more exposure, and since you're getting more exposure, Instagram is more of a free speech platform than Twitter. There, I said it. I don't care.
Okay, well, this question is for everybody that's not the Jew. Did Jesus censor himself?
Fuck no.
Nope. He was a revolutionary and a dangerous man.
I love you so much, Aaron. I had to slip that in there.
No, I agree with you. No, of course he didn't censor himself. Of course not.
The problem that I have with Instagram, and I think everybody would agree with this, is that once you make an Instagram account, you're immediately spammed with OnlyFans content and nonsense, and it's disgusting. And I don't
kind of disagree. Kind of disagree. Here's my hot take. Those, and I'm not throwing shade at you, okay? I want to make myself very clear. I'm not going to throw any shade at you, but certain conservatives on Instagram who are saying, oh, it's so horrible, you're getting all these OnlyFans things. I'm like, because you are commenting and liking and sharing their stuff. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting it, because I do not get it ever. Because you get it at first. At first you get it, and then it stops.
Look at him. Look at him sitting there flexing his Jewish privilege that he doesn't get the porn because they created it.
Listen, all I do on my Instagram is keep track of like my Sunday school students, and I talk about bowling and hockey and stuff like that. But when I go to my timeline, there's nothing but porn. It's disgusting. I don't engage with it or anything, but I'm like, why is this here? So
you didn't put the filter on.
It's set up that way.
That is weird, because the Instagram makes you build your algorithm on Instagram. That's how it works. So
yeah, you build your algorithm on X too, and look how well that's working.
Well, I don't know. I know what to tell you. I really don't know, because I do not get any of it. I used to only the first week or so, and then it stopped and never got back to that.
Listen, here, I'll make a deal with you. I will make a new account, but the next time Mark Zuckerberg lies, you have to use your space laser for me.
Will do.
Deal? Got it. Okay.
Look, bro.
The cheat codes,
Let's go.
So you know.
Look, bro. You were on there for 2 weeks, and they figured out that you were Jewish, so they stopped flooding you with porn. That's how that worked.
It didn't take 2 weeks. It's because, have you seen? Well, I don't think you've seen his nose, but okay. Open forum. Let's close this thing out. 15 minutes.
I've seen his nose. You can land a plane on that motherfucker.
I want to apologize for accidentally removing Dustin from space.
Chris is the culprit. It was Mr. Mustard.
That was you, you old man. We're gonna have it out later. Just letting you know.
Oh God, we're gonna have a boxing match in the nursing home. All right, Pepe,
Too
go ahead.
old guy.
Final thoughts.
Hey,
we got Jake Jr. over here.
Guys, let's go to our final.
Sorry, did you say I could?
I don't need to see two old men break their hips. Calm down.
I got strong hips and a strong constitution. You can't break me.
Dr. Susan, I apologize for these degenerates.
She knows we're having fun.
I tried to pop in earlier, but I had to step out. Had a little bit of a tornado emergency around here, and I wanted to participate in the serious topic, but since I couldn't, can I tell a race joke?
Sure.
It depends. Is it an Indy 500 joke or is it?
It's a present race joke that I just made up. Who's more likely to survive in a tornado, urban black family or an urban white family? Neither, because the tornadoes always go for the white trash in the trailer parks. True story. Sorry.
Those are only the ones that are.
It literally hit a trailer park where my son took refuge because it came down so quick and caught us off guard.
Oh my lord!
And he was taking his wife, he was taking his girlfriend home.
Is this
Yeah, it
the
was a little-
final thought that you want to provide people with as we close out for the night?
No, well, let me finish.
Tornadoes, white trash.
No.
All right.
His girlfriend lived in the trailer park that he was taking her home to. But thank God, like, I just want to say, like, how close it came. Like, it came on so quick. Like, it caught us off guard, and it missed him by a narrow enough margin that the wind shoved his car to the side of the road. And he had to take refuge. Obviously, I've been a little shook, but he was able to take cover, and he and his girlfriend both are safe. But it also went through, after he was able to take cover, it did go through the trailer park where she lives. So there's people there that are probably either hurt or have damage. So just like, I guess prayers, but like it just, I don't know. Sometimes I'm reminded of like God's grace. Sorry, I'm going down a path. I'm just going to stop because I think I'm too shook to like,
I got you.
have a serious conversation. But I wanted to pop in and say hi. I appreciate the space, and I'm a little. I'll have to go back and look at the recording. But what I heard early on, it was an excellent. Yeah, it was an excellent start. What I heard, and great questions, great conversation. So I just wanted to give you props on that, Jeff, and that was it for now.
Well, there are currently 3 active tornado warnings in Michigan. So
yeah, it's still moving. It's still moving east from. So it hit us about an hour ago. We're in the midst of it, and it's still kind of moving west through Michigan. It's probably right about at Detroit, pretty close at this point.
So, Chris, when we do the prayer, make sure you include people that are in harm's way from the tornado. That being said, Christian, Jews, and some Catholics all agree that God is good. Some Catholics, by the way. Go ahead, Pepe.
Well, I was gonna do something specifically for Destiny. It says, "No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come, but condense, if you will, the 50,000 years of man's recorded history in a time span of but a half a century. Stated in these terms, we know very little about the first 40 years, except at the end of them, advanced man had learned to use the skins of animals to cover them. Then, about 10 years ago, under this standard, man emerged from his caves to construct other kinds of shelters. Only 5 years ago, man learned to write and use a cart of wheels. Christianity began less than 2 years ago. The printing press came this year, and then less than 2 months ago, during this whole 50-year span of human history, the steam engine provided a new source of power." And I'll leave you on that.
All right, we're opening up. Whoever wants to go. I guess Destiny, since that was directed at you.
Well, I love the JFK always. I'm a big fan. I'm laying down on the floor right now, like with a cervical pillow under my neck because like my neck's all fucked up. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. It's fine. It happens all the time. Like
I feel your pain.
my chiropractor, like I don't know why. I've been like 1,000 times to the same guy for like the last 8 years, and let me tell you, every time he's like, I just can't imagine somebody so young with such a horrible neck. And I'm like, thanks. Every time. You don't have to tell me every time, but he tells me every time. But anyways, as I'm laying on the floor here, I was thinking about the funniest thing about race to me is that, being biracial and growing up in varying extremes of both of the races I embody, when that is kind of a mindset, like people, I don't think, I'm sure Mr. 30 understands what I mean. people don't understand the mixed perspective at all. It is the least represented, most under talked about, least considered, although it is the fastest growing population in the United States, by the way. Fastest subpopulation, other than immigrants, but I wasn't counting them because they're not legal, so they can get out. But the legal people, the fastest growing sub minority is biracial children. And so, not to anything like significantly statistically meaningful yet, but it is fast, right? Which is, I think mixed babies are great. I'm biased, however, but there's a perspective that it comes along with because you really cannot get, like, it is such a blessing in a way because you cannot get that perspective of the, at least in the black and white discussion, without having both. And it really is a thing that, like, no matter what the discussion is on the race war, because it's so, like, always been pinned black versus white so heavily in this country for so long, and it's such a dark past, right? That people feel very strongly about it on both sides. And it requires somebody who could genuinely see both sides and embody both sides to, like, come up with a solution. I think that makes people eventually come up with a solution for racism. I had a way, it's kind of funny, it's kind of a joke, but honestly, I think it would work. Okay, so, like, take this with a grain of salt. It might not be my best idea. I came up with this almost, like, I don't know, 25. So, not my brightest moment in life. But I thought, if all this would just get rid of systemic racism, it wouldn't get rid of, like, social racism, but it would get rid of the systemic problem, and you wouldn't have this whole DEI would be unnecessary. It already is unnecessary, but they would never even gone there. If you have an agreement with all the white women of childbearing age in the country, an agreement amongst them all to name their children all the most ghetto possible names they could imagine. Just for one generation, just like 5 years, even just 5 years, and have all the African American women do the same, but in the opposite for their children. So you're gonna have a bunch of white Jamals and LaQuacias running around, lots of white ones, right? And then there'd be lots and lots of black Collins and Daphnes, right? And so
Genius.
it's fucking genius. I know people are like, that's really coarse. First off, fuck you. I can say this on both. Okay. So reality is, after a while, it would be to the point where you'd be mixing in with the generations. And you could no longer just look at an application from Shaniqua and be like, oh, in the trash, you can't do that because you don't know now. You know what I mean? We need to just switch it up on them and set, like, was that game when you're a kid? Heads up, 7 Up. Switch it up on them. They don't. I think that would work. Give it, because how are you gonna get mad at Jamal? You don't know. Maybe it is a Jamal. Maybe it's white Jamal. You don't know. You can't even be racist because you don't have any grounds to stand on. Like, because most of the applications are done online or they're mail in or whatever. Like, they are not first person. You get the application phase first, and then you'll get an interview. And systemic racism always claimed, like, we don't get the interviews, you don't get the callback because I saw your name and immediately you're like, nope. Well, same thing with, like, court cases. They blame it on that too. It's like, yeah, well, my name, blah blah blah, Demetrius. They judge me, right? It's like, you're probably right. You're probably right, but we could stop this argument really quickly. Well, not quickly, as fast as babies can grow, but in a generation, this wouldn't even be a problem.
You know what my solution was? And yours is better, but would you like to hear what mine was?
I would love to.
As a mixed race male, I felt the only option that I had would be to find an Asian female, procreate, and then my child would be the cure to all racism. That was my solution.
But they'd have to also be Jewish.
Well, that's where I come in, and I've got the Muslim Middle Eastern background, Muslim Christian, and I've dated Jewish women. I actually wanted to marry one.
What about Native American? I feel like they're kind of getting the raw end of the deal here, and
My
I
mom's
feel like
hold on. Hey. My mom's Native Indian. Okay, so I got it covered.
No, you already got the black part. You're not getting my part too.
Can I
bro.
ask?
So
Can I ask an obvious
here's the
question?
solution.
Can I ask?
Here's the solution. If you have multiple children, you have to draw another culture aside from your own that is also not a prior child's name. So you would have an Akhmud, a Shashin, a Ling, and Sitting Bull.
All right,
If
we are
you have
getting
more
off this
children.
conversation.
I
I,
want to
you know
ask an
what? I
obvious
like
question.
that.
So,
That's the new rule.
It's
Mood
from next
Rashid,
year.
ridiculous.
sitting bull. What?
You want to have a Rashid, and then you also want to, like a Mylene, in the same family with Helga. You want them all together.
Mr. 30 Below, though, I did have a solution similar to yours. Mine was to produce a child with one of every race.
Can I ask an obvious question? for
Okay,
everyone?
Elon, calm down.
I want to ask an obvious
Go
question.
ahead, Aaron. You have
Are
30
you-
seconds.
Okay, are you guys describing a savior child because there's a religion based on it?
No, it's just the cure to racism.
But I want to hear about the savior child.
That's all it is. No, we're not doing this. We're not starting this now. We're having closing thoughts.
I'm guessing
We're not devolving. We're
we're not devolving, but I'm guessing it's
We're tabling this conversation for a later date, mostly because some of us have to drive.
all right. I'll call Aaron.
So get to where we need to
Yeah.
go. All right, where did we go? Dr. Susan, you have any final thoughts? Like I said, I apologize for these degenerates.
No, you have a community, you have some attachment to each other, and that's wonderful. And that is a great foundation for a space, even though, some of it is a little bit wild and we all don't know the context, but you're attached and you're together. And thank you for the opportunity to let me articulate some of my thoughts, and we can only grow from here. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome, Dr. Susan, and I'd ask you if you want to find this space, put notifications on for my. I don't know if you have notifications on for me, but me and you have been following each other for a minute, and
I will do so.
but
I will do
Mr.
so.
30 Below is the one that holds the space. So if you follow him, I'm sure he already followed you back because you're so awesome. And
Thank you so much. And I will do so, and also Chris Filby. I'll do so with all the co-hosts so that I am aware and that I can come and listen and contribute in any way that I can.
I make sure to keep Chris on payroll. That way, we have somebody to do our taxes, so we pay the person.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
speaking of Mr. Philby, you're gonna wait. Go
Sheriff
ahead, Adam.
Nottingham.
Final thoughts, Adam.
Sheriff Nottingham is gonna wait.
I use
Adam-
Chris. I use Chris to stay out of prison.
Adam can go first, I guess. I mean, I don't want to. I don't. I'm the old guy. Okay, I can wait.
Yeah, let's do Adam. Let's do the song, and then we'll go into final thoughts from the co-host. And
oh, I thought you wanted me to talk first, but okay, that's fine.
yeah, let's do the song.
All right,
first.
do the song first. It's your space, brother. I got you.
Cheers to the ceiling, feeling good. We gon' make it to the fifth. Yeah, you know we win and now we live. Sweet victory, yeah. I hear you talking wins, but I see your losses. You celebrating crowns, but I see your crosses. It's a paradox that don't fit in your mirror box. You might not understand who you are with this parasite. The big thing, the one that's winning 7th inning. Trophies don't go to the ones that got it good and get it. When I say I win, I really say I mean that day with the grace I say I did. I wouldn't celebrate with me.
And
He called out the corruption.
space. So
Final thought, then we'll go to me then.
Adam, go ahead.
You want me to go after I play the song? I was enjoying the song. Go to someone else, please. I'll jump on after.
Go ahead, Chris. This guy.
Do you want the prayer or my final thought?
Whatever. Do it however you want to, sir.
Final thought, then we'll go to me, then prayer.
All right. Well, I mean, you are the co-host, so I'm just chopped liver. I've decided that I'm going to have a short AM after dark following this space. So if you all want to come in there and continue your irreverence, you're more than welcome to do that, because that's what AM After Dark is all about. And I'm just wondering, Destiny, if you think maybe we could just name, have these names be Johnson #1 and Johnson #2 and Johnson #3, and just get away from everything, because you take a look at what's happened in our where we're naming buildings, public schools, and all that stuff, and the only school system that got it right was New York City. You get 2 initials and a number. That's it. Nobody gives a damn where you graduated from. And I think that there's something to that, though. I know that we all appreciate the having a legacy, when it gets bastardized and twisted, what essentially what's it worth, So I'll land it there, give it to Adam, and then come back and do a prayer.
Sounds good. I'd just like to say, great space, awesome guest, great conversation, and see progress, not like the progressives, but progress and I believe that we could have better, American relationships with each other, as far as values and things like that. We kind of got to go back to, like, family and community, and taking care of the community, and cleaning out the bad stuff in all our communities, the best we can, and working together in this coalition together. The dividers, those are on both sides. We just gotta, you know, block out the white noise from them, and it's mostly from mainstream media and some of these talking heads that are on, friggin' X and other places as well. So, you know, try to stick with the people that resonate with you, and hopefully you could resonate with more people, and talk about this cohesion of it being American, first. That's what the thing is, right? Before I'm Middle Eastern, Yugoslavian, or Muslim Christian background. Well, God first, of course, but I'm not with organized religion. I don't believe in it, but I respect it, but that's just my personal way of believing. But regardless of any of that, we've got values here in America, and if people go against our values, protecting kids, protecting the family unit, and having productive things, real progress, not these demented regressives version of idea of progress. So I think, yeah, we just got to keep seeing through the BS, dividing things that they try to blow up in our face, and try to strike basically, let's say, you know strife and emotional reactions. We need to look at things as Dr. Susanna said, Susan, I'm sorry, said, we need to look at these through facts. We got to stick to she looks at, different things like autopsy reports, and just the technicalities of it, the specifications of things as well, the specifics, and that's stand on truth. That's what we should all stand on, is truth and fact, and fact of the matter. And I'll yield with that. God bless you, all of you. I am a believer in God, and I am a believer in Jesus Christ as our Savior. So, Muslims don't believe that, Jeff. Just so you delineate that from me, But I do have Muslim relatives. I was raised Muslim. I just lost faith in God when I was 21, when I lost my dad. So I kind of went on my own religious journey and looking at different faiths. And after I, like, came out of my drunken sorrows of losing my father. So I went on, like, trying to find God. I looked at Buddhism. I looked at Taoism, which I kind of like, yin and yang, the energy you put out, the energy you get back. So I kind of take from that a little bit as well. And, my main thing is, I read the Bible, I read the parables, and I think that, just living the way of Jesus Christ is, the best example for humanity. And I did find a video on, him being a revolutionary, and just basically the establishment against the establishment, which is what, the way is, right? Is being free. He told people to be free. And, that's the thing. He called out the corruption. So that's the thing. He flipped the tables, right? So we stand on truth, and I think that's what it comes down to. And uh, you know, one nation under God. I agree with that. Our founders agree with that. It wasn't one nation under Lucifer or Satan, whatever you want to call it. So we got to stick to those. That's where I'm conservative. Libertarian and like non-aggression principle, because I don't believe that. But you keep in mind, people, when you listen, Republican, Democrat, we have bad people on both sides, most definitely, mostly on the Democrat side that take advantage of people. But there are some good Republicans out there, and we need to make more like good Republicans, or bring and lift up, potential good moral people with ethics and values. American ethics and values. So yeah, I'll yield with that. Thank God bless you all. Have a good night, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for your service, Mr. 30 Below, and I hope you drive safe.
Go ahead, Chris. Hit us with the prayer.
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this space tonight, for the fellowship, and for the truth that we're told. And we ask that you protect us from evil. We ask that you protect those who are in harm's way, from natural disasters, and that you heal us, especially those who hold bitterness in their hearts for whatever reason. And please protect Jeff on his trip. But and we thank you for the love and the hope that you've given our country and the world through the miracle that you gave us back on last summer. And so with that, God, we ask you to bless each and every one of us, and in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, Destiny, just give me a thumbs up. You ready to do both lines when I'm finished? She's probably not here. She walked away. She's not going to do it. No thumbs up. Okay, got it. Either way, you guys, I say it every week. It is truly an honor to be able to be in this position, to have these difficult conversations because they need to be had. Not enough people are talking about them. And we're seeing it happen week after week. The space is growing, getting new people in. And ultimately, for me, it's not about my own personal growth. It's about the conversation being out there for people to talk about. It's about challenging people and breaking down some uncomfortable walls. And I'm grateful that there's not enough spaces on X doing it, but I'm grateful that I get to be one of the few that actually does it and does it without reservation. So I'm not afraid of what people may say about me. You can call me a racist. You can call me a bigot. Doesn't matter. Your opinion of me does not change because the only opinion of me that matters is what God sees in me. And he put in me a heart to tell the truth, be honest, and fight for what I believe in. And that trumps everything in my life. So I'm very pleased and privileged to be able to have this position. And it's terrifying sometimes, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't think that it was worth fighting for. And to my friends on the panel, I look forward every week to getting a chance to chat with you guys. I probably look at doing some more spaces as I transition to this retirement phase of my career. Next week, I plan to be doing this space, same time, obviously, but we're going to be doing it from Hawaii. So if I don't say anything, somewhere on the beach, because I'm retired and I'm going to enjoy myself. So that's what I got to say about that. I was hoping Destiny would respond to my comment, but since she didn't, guess there's nothing other to say than I love you, God loves you, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Until next week, I'm Mr. 30 Below, signing off. Go follow Zeek, Dr. Susan, Mr. Willis. If you enjoyed the panelists tonight, go give them a follow. The recording will be up immediately following this space. Have a good week, and I'll catch you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
AmericanMission.com.